Good morning once again, and welcome to the 2022 Mini Career Exploration Talks open to students of all strands. Today is the last of three parts. We will be recording this event for prep push documentation purposes. To serve as our host for today's program, let us all welcome Mr. Tiny de Guzman.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, dear students, speakers, administrators, teachers, and counselors. Good morning, Athenians. We welcome you to your mini career exploration talks, creating your own career road map part 3. I am Tiny de Guzman, and my daughter is from 11 Hoyos, and I'm very excited to share this special webinar with all of you. On behalf of our grade 11 Push Council, thank you so much for making it. Before we go to our talks, as always, let us begin with a prayer, and it will be led by Ms. Tina Pagdilao, CPR of 11 Fontura. Ms. Pagdilao?
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the holiness of God, the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Dear God, we glorify and thank your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously remind us of your faithfulness and guidance. May we humbly ask you to shower our speakers today of your greatest inspiration so that they may share the most of their knowledge, heart, and soul to their respective topics. May we also absorb the invaluable knowledge, experiences, and put it into practice what we learned today. We pray that you bless all the committees in charge, that they may be able to fulfill their task responsibly, that the objectives be met, and achieved. And may our sons and daughters be enlightened on the path they wish to take in the future. Your infinite blessing would mean the success of this activity. May we be living witnesses of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. Saint Ignatius of Loyola, pray for us. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Pagdilao. Hello again, everyone. Good morning. Good morning to the moms and the dads who are listening in today. Congratulations to all of you for you have made the right choice. Relax, take your coffee, listen to our online career talks. Before we dive into our speakers, let us welcome Assistant Principal for Academics, Mr. Luis Alan Melo Santos, for his opening remarks. Good morning, Mr. Santos.
Good morning, sir, Mr. Guzman, and good morning, everybody, our students, and of course, our guests, our speakers, and our parents at home. So this is the last of the career talks for our grade 11 students. And the theme is, of course, creating your roadmap for the future. And I think the keywords there are of course, roadmap and create. Okay, while there are specific fields you can plan to get into in the future, the keyword still is create. Even if you get into a certain field, you still have that power of creation, okay, in you. And I hope that you enjoy this webinar today. In the senior high school, you're only staying for 2 years. So try to listen to all our speakers, okay, discern and reflect. And soon enough, you'll be practitioners in your own field. And this is really a time of creation. The world is changing so fast, and you'll be able to go along with it and get the necessary skills and training and information you need, and you'll be potent forces in the creation of our new world. Okay, so we do this, of course, for the greater glory of God. So participate well, our dear students. And again, thank you very much, our dear parents, and of course, our dear guests and speakers. Thank you, Sir De Guzman. Good morning.
Sir Jaime, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Melo Santos, for the empowering, encouraging opening remarks. I think we'd like to also mention Father Bert Ampil. Good morning, Father. Of course, Mr. Noel Miranda, AHS Principal. Ms. Maria Isabel Castaneda, Assistant Director of PrEP. They have always supported all push activities from planning up to implementation. We are honored with their presence today. Thank you. Can we give them a round of virtual applause? Yes. If you attended the first two parts of the mini CAREX held last January 29 and February 5, you may have noticed that we have a diverse set of professionals. The objective of the mini CAREX is really to broaden our students' awareness of various career opportunities. We purposely chose other professionals, unconventional yet fulfilling career choices that students may have opted to pursue. In the future, we also have provided an opportunity for the students not only to know more about the not so popular choices, career choices, but also to encourage them to pursue them regardless of their popularity or financial reward, which is very important. And so we saw how our speakers pursued their passion and persisted in what they wanted to do. We heard them say that it is important to know who you are and find opportunities to share yourself to others and be the best person God made them to be. By listening to these career stories, you will see how different people made choices that brought them to where they are now. Each career path was unique. With this mini CAREX, we hope you will be able to understand a little more about yourself and what you want to do in the future, gain insight on how to discern and take on the career path that will bring you fulfillment. It is our hope that in any career path that you take, may it bring you satisfaction and that you become an agent of positive change in your community. If you missed the previous talks, you can go back to the YouTube channel of the AHS Parent Relations and Program and watch it there. The YouTube links will be posted in the chat box and at the end of the program. But for now, let us listen to the speakers lined up for today. Let's start with our first speaker for today. It will be introduced by Ms. Trisha Vistan, CPR of 11 Bellarmino.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, Mr. Vladimir T. Mata is currently a director at the Commission of Appointments. He finished his Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He then took up his master's degree in Public Management at the National University of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, and at the Harvard University, John F. Kennedy School of Government. He also obtained a master's degree in National Security Administration at the National Defense College of the Philippines. He is a Marine Reserve officer and recently finished his Command and General Staff course at the Armed Forces of the Philippines. His background includes community and political organizing, public management, third sector, people organization, collaboration, and capacity building. He is a former Chief Executive Officer of Share an Opportunity Philippines, Inc., a faith-based NGO that strives to bring durable transformation in communities, putting children's protection, survival, participation, and development at the core. He was also the city administrator of the Gupan, Pangasinan. Let's all give a warm welcome to Mr. Vladimir T. Mata.
Thank you very much for that very generous introduction. Before we start, may I invite you for a short prayer again. Oh Lord, we thank you for this day. We ask you to open our heart and mind as we discuss decisions that we will make today and in the future. Grant our students wisdom and discernment as they search for their purpose and passion. In His name we pray, amen. Before I start my PowerPoint presentation, I would like to invite you to watch a video, a 6-minute video. And after this, we'll proceed with the PowerPoint.
May surprise ako sa'yo. Wow, ang ganda naman po. Thank you.
Ano ba yan? Huwag kang mag-alala, anak. Pag nagkaroon ng budget, ibibili rin kita niyan. Gusto mo?
Kami naman ay hindi talaga mahirap na pamilya. Siguro maika-categorize mo as a middle class family. Pero bilang bata sa probinsya, medyo parang ang pakiramdam ko may kasalatan ng aking mga gusto sa buhay. Kaya nung ako ay lumalaki na, nag-aspire ako na mag-aral sa Manila, sa high school, para preparasyon ito doon sa aking dream na makapag-aral sa mga tanyag na paaralan sa Maynila katulad ng UP.
Ang pangarap na ito ni Vladimir ay tila butong na itanim sa kanyang puso at unti-unting sumibol. Subalit, hindi na iwasang dumaan ito sa bagyo.
Dahil sa aking kagustuhan na mag-aral sa Manila, tumira ako sa aking auntie. At doon, kahit na paslit pa akong bata, ginagawa ko na yung mga gawaing bahay na sa pakiramdam ko ay na-violate ako bilang bata dahil nga mabibigat na trabaho. Naglalaba ako, namamlansya, naglilinis ng buong bahay, namamalengke, nagluluto. Parang na-deprive ako ng aking mga gustong gawin sa yung normal na buhay ng bata.
Bata pa lamang ay kilala na ni Vladimir ang Panginoong Hesus. At nang kinailangan niyang harapin ang nasabing pagsubok, isang bagay ang mas naunawaan niya.
Nung bata pa ako, syempre natatakot, pupunta ka ng impyerno. Nung tumatanda na tayo, syempre nagiging malalim yung ating pangunawa sa salita ng Panginoon. Nagiging lutang yung biyaya ng Panginoon.
Ang biyayang ito nga ang dahilan kung paano niya nalampasan ang mga pagsubok na kinaharap sa high school at naging daan upang matupad ang pangarap na makatungtong sa Universidad ng Pilipinas upang mag-aral ng kolehiyo.
Things work out for the good. Because of that, I became a stronger person. So when I entered the university, medyo strong-willed ako.
Walang sinasayang na oportunidad si Vladimir, kaya naman naging matindi ang kanyang pagpupursige upang makapagtapos ng pag-aaral. At sa paglipas ng panahon, naging mas malawak din ang pananaw niya sa mga bagay-bagay.
Ang aking commitment lang sa Panginoon ay gamitin ito para sa iba, hindi lang para sa akin, hindi lang para sa pamilya ko, kundi ito ay magiging contribution ko sa ating bayan. Ganun lang kasimple ang aking pangarap sa buhay.
Dahil sa napagkatiwalaan siya ng Panginoong Hesus sa maliit na bagay, nabiyayaan siya ng mas malalaki pa.
Hindi ko inaasahan naman talaga katulad nung pagkakataon na nakapag-aral ako sa National Defense College, sa malaking pagpapala sa akin yun. Recently, yung pagkakatanggap ko nga sa Harvard Kennedy School at yung aking pagiging Lee Kuan Yew Scholar, sabi ko, kung ako lang ang tatanungin, marahil hindi ako magka-qualify sa mga yan dahil mas maraming magaling sa akin at sa biyaya ng Diyos, ng Panginoon, na ibigay sa akin yan.
Ang lahat ng kanyang natutunan, ibinabahagi niya sa paglilingkod sa mamamayan at bayan. Sa katunayan, isa siyang Chief Operating Officer ng isang NGO.
Ito ay organization na nangangalaga sa mga karapatan ng mga kabataan, ng mga maihan, at lalo't higit yung mga mahihirap. At buo yung aking puso sa mga ito dahil nakikita ko yung mga bata na ako ito nung araw. At kung ako ngayon ay nagkaroon ng pagkakataon na maabot itong estado na ito, malamang itong mga batang ito, pagka nagkaroon din ng pagkakataon, ay maabot din nila yung kanilang mga pangarap.
Bukod pa rito, siya rin ang City Administrator ng Tarlac City.
Narito ako para tulungan yung ating Mayor Christy Angeles ng Tarlac City, the First Lady Mayor ng Tarlac City nga yan. At ako ay natutuwa at pumayag na suportahan siya dahil nga nakita ko nga yung kanyang sinseridad din for good governance. Wala ang korupsyon, maayos yung pagsisilbi sa bayan.
Kaakibat nga ng mga ito ay ang mabibigat na responsibilidad.
Ang Ang government has become a vocation at a work. Minsan napapa-away ka, minsan they will hate you, minsan physically, mentally, emotionally. Down din ako kasi minsan parang napakahirap banggahin ng mga masasama na nakagawian na sa palagay natin hindi nakakatulong doon sa pagpapaganda ng pamamahala sa pamahalaan. Pero ano lang, move pa more para eventually ma-attain natin yung ating gustong ma-attain. Kung hindi man, God will provide a way.
Malayo na nga ang narating ni Vladimir at sa kanyang paglingon sa kanyang nakaraan, pinalaya na rin niya ang mapapait na alaala sa kanyang tiya.
Napatawad ko na rin naman sila dahil niisip ko na lang na dahil doon naging matured individual ako.
Ngayon ay may sariling pamilya na rin si Vladimir. Haponesa man ang naging asawa, matindi ang suporta nito sa adhikain ni Vladimir para sa bayan. Mayroon din siyang 3 anak na bata pa lamang ay nahubog na sa kawang gawa. Ang mga pangarap ni Vladimir hindi lamang nahinog, ngunit naging hitik pa sa bunga. At sa lahat ng kanyang pinagdaanan, isa lamang ang kanyang pinanghahawakan.
Everything is possible by God's grace.
Thank you very much for listening to my short life and professional journey. Friends, students, the documentary video about my life speaks of who I am. It particularly speaks about the 3 important P's in my life that govern how I conduct my life, personally or professionally. The three principles, if you may, that serve as the basis for my career path, as well as how I pursued and continue to pursue both my personal and professional life. Let me share these 3 P's briefly. First P is purpose. In the book of Nehemiah, God put in Nehemiah's heart a burden that became a significant mission for him. His purpose, which is burning in his heart all along, is his aspiration to rebuild the broken walls of his beloved city of Jerusalem. After learning the devastation of Jerusalem from the people that God sent to report to him while he was a cupbearer of King Artaxerxes, Nehemiah wept and prayed. The deep and sincere desire to help restore or rebuild the nation became a purpose that he cannot ignore. He pursued it with excellence until it was completed. In fact, it was completed in 52 days. Like Nehemiah, find your purpose. Find the career path that will align with your personal vision and mission. I believe, like Nehemiah, in the olden time, my purpose is to help rebuild our walls in the government. That's the reason why I'm part of government. Helping, advocating, and working toward moral restoration, such as bringing back integrity, honesty, and credibility in government processes and systems, and respect for the institution. The second P is passion. When your purpose is clear, God will create a passion in your heart that you cannot stop. Whatever He wants you to accomplish, He will embed in your heart and mind that kind of unquenchable desire or aspiration to accomplish that which He instructed you to accomplish for others. It can be for your families, community, or the nation, he will surely give you that will, that tenacity, that kind of patience and strong will to reach the finish line in the same way that God gave me and continued to give me. I was formerly a full marathoner, and this exactly are the stuff that kept me to finish the competition. Let me remind you though, that you should stick to your purpose when you made this run. When I made that run and decision to be part of government, whatever it takes, whatever problems, whatever challenges that I may face and continue to face, I will stick to my purpose, and that is to help the nation, contribute to the nation. Your career choice should be based on your own personal decision, consistent with your personal mission or your vision. Your passion will just flow in without even realizing it. Your desire to help and to pursue that purpose in life would just continue to flourish. The final P talks about power. Not power per se. Not power per se, but the source of power. Not the power, not the secular power that people think about, but the source of power. Where do you get that power? Your strength, your ability, your capability, your knowledge, or your willpower originate from your Redeemer. I recognize that my power is God, Jesus. Unless we recognize that everything and all things come and end with the Creator, I believe things will not be bright. Recognizing God's power in us is acceptance that apart from Him, we can do nothing. John 15:5 says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. In other words, whatever career path that you will choose in the future, I encourage you to be mindful of the 3 P's that I just mentioned. It might just be a valuable input to your future personal decisions. Again, thank you very much for inviting me. God bless you as you chart your personal and professional journey from here on. Thank you and carpe diem. God bless you. That ends my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Vladimir Mata. Everyone, please give him a warm virtual applause. Okay? Remember, purpose, power, okay, and passion. For the next, if you have any questions for our speaker, please type them in the chat box. We will have them and we will try to take it up during the open forum later. So please, students, remember, if you have any questions about passion, purpose, and power, please type them in for Mr. Mapa. We'll try to have him answer your questions for clarity. And again, our host is Mrs. Vistan. It's an introduction from Mrs. Maria Cristina Cecilia Hernandez. Ms. Vistan, please.
Okay. Our next speaker is Ms. Maria Cristina Cecilia C. Hernandez, an acting director at the Department of Foreign Affairs. She studied anthropology at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, before shifting courses and finishing her degree in Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing. She entered the Department of Foreign Affairs after passing the Foreign Service examination in 2015. A rare breed, she renounced her U.S. citizenship to join the Philippine Foreign Service. Before her assignment as acting director, she served as third secretary and vice consul in Libya. Also, she worked as principal assistant at the Office of Middle East and Africa Affairs, where she focused on high-risk posts, including Baghdad, Damascus, and Tripoli, and other countries in the region. Her passion for creative writing still persists despite her busy schedule. In June last year, she finished her first science fiction novel. She just loves reading nonfiction and Marvel comics. She is also into arnis and self-defense, arts and crafts, sewing, cooking, volunteering. Let's all give a warm welcome to Miss Maria Cristina Cecilia C. Hernandez.
Good morning. Okay, so I'll just bring up my PowerPoint, one moment. So this morning I'm going to talk about how I got to the DFA, my experience there, and how you can also find your purpose. A little bit of background about me. From 0 to 18 years old, I was born and raised in the US. So my parents were both Filipino, but they moved over there to find a better future for their family. And that's where I sprung into existence. And in growing up there, there was a major event that impacted my childhood, which happened in 2001, September 11. Back then, a lot of my classmates, after witnessing the fall of the Twin Towers, decided they wanted to join the military. But I decided that I wanted to affect international security in my own way. And so I started teaching myself various languages like Chinese, Latin, Spanish, German, and Russian over the next couple of years through high school. But then various factors, such as reading more and more about Philippine history, push and pull factors in my family, led me to return to the Philippines when I was 18. My father inspired me to come back with stories of my grandfather's government service accomplishments. My grandfather was an attaché during the Cold War, an attaché for the Philippines in Paris and Romania. He even helped open the Philippine Embassy in Moscow later on before he returned to the Philippines. And because of his various experiences out there that my dad told me so many stories about, I wanted to find out how I could help the Philippines too. So when I came back, I started studying anthropology and then creative writing, and I thought maybe I'll inspire my generation through writing novels. And then I finished a novel. Well, I finished a novel back then, but I fixed it more recently. It's a science fiction novel, but things changed. I ended up in ROTC, and ROTC led me to my first job, even before I graduated from UP. It was research work in Camp Aguinaldo. And shortly after I graduated from UP, there was a master's program being offered a meter away from my desk in the conference room, right beside my desk when I do overtime on weekends. And I asked about it, and they told me to try that course. And it turned out to be a Master of Arts in Foreign Service through Philippine Women's University. And that's where I learned about the Foreign Service Officer exam. That's where I learned about how the Philippine Foreign Service works, international relations, things like that. I mean, I'd had a background studying world history and various aspects of US history and other international relations a little bit when I was in high school, and so many languages and everything. But to understand the Philippine Foreign Service and the opportunities that it offered was a big step for me, and it made a very big difference. Because before that, I thought I was just going to be a writer. I'd have a government day job and I'd write novels. And then after that, I realized, what if my government day job is as a diplomat? And it sounded really fun. So my plan then was that I'd take the Foreign Service exam after I finished my master's. But things didn't work out the way I expected. The review course that my school offered for the exam cost more than I could afford. So I decided, wait, I can afford the exam itself. So if I take the exam and wherever I don't pass in the exam, that's what I know I need to study for the next time I take the exam. So I thought I'd just take the exam and then I'd try again later on, seriously the next time. And accidentally, I passed all 5 stages of the Foreign Service Officer exam. And that was really surprising because I hadn't finished my master's yet. I was not really ready to take that jump. And it also required that for me to get to join the Philippine Foreign Service, I had to give up my US citizenship. So there was a time of discernment, you could call it, where I had to decide, do I give up my US citizenship and really jump all the way into this Philippine Foreign Service? Is this how I can make a better difference for the Philippines, for the country that I love and hold dear? And I decided, after much advice from many friends and colleagues, that I would follow a simple prayer. God, where you lead me, I will go. So in late 2015, I gave up my US citizenship and I joined the Department of Foreign Affairs. And, let's see. So this picture is from the oral exam, the formal dinner of the Foreign Service Officer exam. I'm in pink at the corner of the stairs. Well, I'm not sure if you can see me there, but there's a lot of people. But this was basically me and 40 to 50 other people who took the exam, plus the diplomats who graded our extemporaneous speeches, our table etiquette, our ability to make small talk, various other things. But this is what most people perceive diplomat work to be like. Wining and dining, diplomatic receptions, flashy travel and stuff like that. But I chose a different path in the Foreign Service. So I was first assigned in BFA to the Office of Middle East and African Affairs, and I handled a little bit of every division, but mostly I was assigned to Africa. And Africa has 54 countries, and that was a lot of paperwork. But it was really interesting to see how the Philippines has impacted this region over decades, and then to see how this region can also help our Filipinos get better lives, for example, or there's back and forth between it. But in the meantime, while I was doing all of this work between 2016 and 2019, I was taking up every security training that I could get my hands on. Every chance that I could, I took up training so that I would be qualified to be posted to a war zone later on. I mean, my grandfather had his adventures during the Cold War in the USSR, and I figured I might as well have mine in the place of most interest during my own time. So I was looking at Baghdad, Damascus, and Tripoli. For a time, we thought that I'd be replacing a friend of mine in Baghdad when his tour ended. But in 2018, my dad suddenly passed away, and he'd given his blessing for me to go to Baghdad. And I was really saddened when he died. It took me about a year to get things back together after that. But at the end of the year after he died, I got a phone call while I was on vacation saying, they're looking for you. I'm like, what? Yeah, there's a head of post who's looking for you to be assigned to Tripoli. And I was like, what? Tripoli? And suddenly everything changed again. My plans thrown out the window, but instead of Baghdad, it would be Tripoli. And I did some research, I did some prayer, and in the end, that's where I ended up. So in mid-2019, I got posted to my first war zone. Well, I'd been to Baghdad previously, but Tripoli, well, Baghdad was only for like a week. Tripoli was supposed to be for years. So, and Tripoli was at the midst of the height of the siege of Tripoli at the time. There was a civil war ongoing, and There was a general who wanted to take the capital, and it was really tricky because we have 2,000 Filipinos in Libya, and they are the backbone of the medical infrastructure in Libya. You take the Filipinos out of there, a lot of people will die. And protecting them and evacuating them as needed, but still allowing them to fulfill their mission and purpose out there as helping so many people out there, that was really exciting. So, okay, here we go. This is one of the things that I saw on my first day in Tripoli. So this is called a technical. Usually there's a giant machine gun mounted on the back of it, and it's really scary. And then in Libya, because it's really chaotic out there, they don't have traffic rules anymore. So these things would be counterflowing towards you in the highway, and then your driver would just quietly move to the side, and you just see this bullet, this truck, massive truck, marked with bullet holes all over, just driving by like there's nothing going on. Or sometimes they drive by really fast because there is something going on. And this was part of my first impression of Tripoli. But there's layers of perspective as you go along. So when I got to downtown Tripoli, there's graffiti, there's artwork, and part of it includes this, which it took me a few weeks and months, but I finally managed to snap a photo of it after so long. It was a very curious mural of Gaddafi, the former ruler of Libya, who'd been killed years earlier. And then there's the flag of Libya as well. But it's not just graffiti and bullet holes out there. There's also a beautiful skyline with, it used to be a thriving city before it became a war zone. And I got to see a place that most people don't get to see because war zones are usually off limits unless you're a diplomat or a medical service worker or something like that. So yeah, this is just some of the hotels and buildings in Tripoli proper. And then on the side, on the right side is a mosque. And then one of the curious other layers of perspective that I found was the food there. They have Libyan knockoffs of KFC and Max's restaurant. The funny thing is that KFC, their chicken, they got the chicken just right. So if you're really homesick after so long in a war zone, so long cut off from home, you can go to KFC and you can buy a really nice, and it just tastes just like the original chicken. But when you try the coleslaw, something's terribly wrong because they used condensed milk instead of mayo. So, and then with the Max's restaurant, their Max's doesn't serve chicken, and it's not from the Philippines because it serves shawarma. So it was a bit of a, it was really an adventure. And then when you get to know the people there, they invite you to things like weddings. I couldn't take photos of the people who were there because it's, they don't really give permission for people to take photos of them. But this is one photo from a wedding that I took. And the funny thing about Libyan culture is that weddings can last for up to 7 days, each day with a different reception, with a different group of people, different blends of family from either side of the family. It's really a cultural experience that you wouldn't get to notice or wouldn't get to experience in other parts of the world. And so this is me in Tripoli. This is near Martyr Square. So let's see, where was I? So this was part of downtown Tripoli, and well, after about a year out there, I had to come back early to the Philippines due to the pandemic. But now I use my skills and experience to organize training for Philippine diplomats who go to dangerous places. One thing I just wanted to say for y'all is that your life experiences, your passions, and what the world needs can combine to shape your purpose. You can strive all you want to do one particular thing, but in the end, it's God's plans that'll open doorways of opportunity for you. Your choice is whether or not to take it. Go ahead and study what fascinates you. God will make use of that and give you opportunities to help others, and possibly even the Philippines as a whole. There were some other questions. Oh gosh. So if there's any skill that you need to join the Foreign Service someday, it would be adaptability. Adaptability in language, in culture, curiosity about these things. And whether you're helping trafficking victims, whether you're helping just individual Filipinos who need assistance, or whether you're creating opportunities for the Philippines as a whole and for entire sectors to find work or trade opportunities, or just protecting the Philippines from various national security threats through negotiations and agreements and things like that. It's really, really fun in the Foreign Service. And hopefully my legacy will be similar to that of my grandfather's, through improving the security of our embassies abroad, especially those in war zones. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. Okay.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Cecilia C. Hernandez, or should we say Agent CC Hernandez. Remember, okay, God, where you lead me, there I go. The simple prayer that led our speaker through all her adventures and doing well and doing good for the world. So let us give her a virtual applause, everybody. Yay. Okay, we would now go to our third speaker, and we have Miss Trisha Vistan again, Mrs. Trisha Vistan, to introduce her. Trisha, please.
Ms. Maria Christine Ponce Garcia is presently the Assistant Vice President for Sustainability and Public Affairs of Nestle Philippines. In her role as such, she is a key driver of the strategic execution of the company's net zero carbon emission commitments. She is also the task force lead of the company's Sustainability Steering Committee. She is one of the prime movers of Plastic Neutrality Program, the project manager of May Balik sa Plastic, the country's first citywide soft plastic waste collection program that placed a monetary value to soft plastics. She spearheaded the rollout of eco-brick hubs in several communities and led Nestle's 2020 Greening the Supply Chain program and the 2019 Nestle Water Leadership Awards. She finished her Bachelor of Science in Applied Economics at the De La Salle University. She is currently taking up her master's degree on Women and Development at UP Diliman. She served as 2014 National President of Junior Chamber International Philippines, a nonprofit organization of young active citizens who are engaged and committed to creating impact in their communities. She is also the auditor of Outstanding Women Leaders of Baguio, Inc., founder of Women Tor, a mentoring program for young women, and co-founder of Gandang Pilipina, a social media campaign for body positivity. Please welcome Ms. Maria Christine Ponce Garcia.
Good morning. Can you hear me clearly? Hello?
Yes.
Let me pull out my presentation. Good morning. Can you see my slides now? And can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Isang magandang mapagpalayang umaga sa inyong lahat. I'm Christine Ponce Garcia, and this morning it is an honor to walk you through my journey. May not be a perfect one, but it's an honor to share with you my journey onto where I am today in sustainability. I'd like to call it Change the Future Today through a Career in Sustainability. All right. So this is always a weird story I tell my friends and even my kids on how did I get to where I am now, and always tell them that where I am now is not what I planned to be when I was your age, but it's a dream come true. So later on, I'll talk about that very exciting journey of mine, because I'm sure every one of you are experiencing it right now. I also have a 15-year-old daughter who's contemplating on what she wants to be in the next coming years. So this opportunity, working with the parents and with the students as well, really opens up a lot of opportunities for both the parents and for the children. So I hope to also learn from you this morning. All right, so what do I do? It was mentioned earlier that I am the sustainability and public affairs officer of Nestle. So in this current role of mine is I drive the strategic execution of the company's net zero emission commitments, or to put it simply, because we have a commitment to be able to mitigate climate change, and Nestle Philippines is committed to form a significant part to that journey. So we aim to be net zero by 2050, and in the role that I do, I had the opportunity to organize and lead the team of Nestle to this journey. And then the other thing that I do as well is we lead creating shared value initiatives, or I think what other companies would call corporate social responsibility. So I'm focused more in the area of environmental sustainability, specifically in climate change. So you could see here that here on the left in the picture, so we'd also work with communities. So this was in Valenzuela, where we launched the May Balik sa plastic. So it was important to also have a media campaign on that, to also inspire other communities to do the same. And also, I also work on stakeholder relationship management. It means I work with government and non-government stakeholders, and I also work with industry associations who also have the same advocacies as we are. So specifically, helping the country in the social issues where we can help. We also form community partnerships. So you can see here, we turn over eco brick hubs to some communities around the country. So these eco brick hubs are made of sachets. So each eco brick is composed of plastic sachets. Therefore, you divert the plastics away from the ocean and make this into an eco brick. All right, and then so you can see also what's so exciting with the work that I do is here. You can see here we work also with multi-stakeholders during the development of a national plan of action of marine litter. So we work with the department with DENR, with the United Nations Development Program, and with other private companies and NGOs as well, where we try to shape an operating environment that will help us achieve, an action plan, multi-stakeholder action plan, to be able to address the environmental issues in the country. And then also, it also gives me an opportunity to work with other government stakeholders. And then also here, we can see here on the left is we also work on how to develop projects together with the government. Like in this case, this was during the Typhoon Odette, in partnership with the Philippine Red Cross, and this is with the Office of the Vice President. But you can see, but aside from that, my other hat is I also a staunch advocate of gender equality and women empowerment. So I work closely with the community, especially women, because I know that it's in my role. It is my purpose, to emancipate women from different forms of oppression. So you can see here, we go to the communities, we work on projects on that can emancipate them from oppression. So also, as mentioned earlier, I'm also the founder of Womentor. So in Womentor is like it's on its third year, where we mentor also students like you on how they be able to choose also to make their career path. And then also we do talks we also focused on domestic violence and other women issues in the country. And also I am also the co-founder of Gandang Pilipinas. So this is not just a social media campaign, but I think also a social movement for body positivity. So what are the skills that make me effective in what I do? I don't say that I have all the skills right now. When you are in a job, you continuously develop those skills, and you learn that there are more skills that you need to develop. But offhand, these are the skills that are really important for you to be effective in sustainability and public affairs. So it's important that we have a collaborative mindset and we are passionate for the people and and the planet. So you should have a deep understanding of the social issues, specifically in the environment, and see how like-minded people you should be able to put them together for them to have for your solutions to have a more significant impact. So it's also important that you be able to develop the skill of creative solution finding, because there's no like one solution, and there's so many problems as well. So it is important that you're able to be so creative to find really to be able to unearth the solutions for the social problems that we have right now here in the country. Also, it's important that you have your communication and interpersonal relationship skills. So this is very important because you work with other stakeholders, you are pushing an advocacy, and to be very effective in achieving your role, you should be able to communicate that properly. And to bring everyone to your purpose, being a good communicator is critical to this role. So why do I do this? I'm only on my second year in this role, but really it's when you look back, which I will share my journey later, it's you'll be able to connect the dots. But I really do this because of my passion for women and for the planet. So so this is the future that we see. Women, we form 50% of our population, and we can see. I know everyone is very aware that sustainability is very effective in achieving your role is at the core of businesses. We can see how much damage is happening to our environment. So it's very important that the role, I think as mentioned earlier by our two speakers, that the role where we are in should be able also to contribute to the current problems, in the society. So as I quote UNFPA that they said in 2001, given the variety of women's daily interactions with the environment, they are the most keenly affected by its degradation. So we said, if you have that lived experience, you experience, the droughts of climate change. So we are in the position, you are affected by it. So you're in the position to craft the solutions for this environmental problems because you have a better understanding of the issue. So how I got there was a long journey. I'd always tell it's a long and not a perfect journey. It's not a straight line, but all I can say is that all the dots are connected. And at this point, I think that's what I would want to share with you. It couldn't be a perfect journey. It may not be a straight line, but you will find in the end, all those dots are connected to bring you where you want to be. All right, so let me start with the journey. All right, so this is my storyboard, and this is how I connected the dots. So mind you, I didn't know that it was all happening. But while when I was trying to develop this storyboard, I just realized that, you were not, when you're in that moment, you didn't know that moment was a significant moment. But now, I think it's very important for you now to be very mindful of what's happening to you every day, because you wouldn't know that moment is a significant moment, which will contribute to where you will be in the future. So when I was your age, I said, I didn't dream of being in sustainability and public affairs. So I was in UP. I am from Baguio. I grew up in Baguio. And I was part of the last batch of students of the University of the Philippines High School in Baguio. So during that time, my activism was all about, keeping University of the Philippines Baguio High School, because they were going to abolish our school. So the right to education was an early advocacy of mine, and fighting for these rights was really my focus in my last year, but we weren't successful with that. So what I focus now then is to go to college. I didn't know a course in mind, but all I wanted to do was go to college and go to Manila. So during that time also, I tried to assess, which we can do also right now. What did I enjoy doing? So in high school, I enjoyed math, I enjoyed English, and I also enjoyed social studies. But as early as high school, I already acknowledged that I was so passionate about people. I was interested in people. I like to be with people. I like to learn from people. So it was very imminent And that all started at the early stage of my life. And then when I went in college, I went to De La Salle University, and my course was BS Applied Economics. So in that course, in my 3-year course, so I saw that I was interested in not in the microeconomics or macroeconomic subjects, but my interest again brought me to development economics. So I'd see already about my passion was already evolving, but the people were still there. But this time I was really interested with development, specifically social development. So after I graduated, I worked with I worked with Pepsi Cola Philippines in trade marketing. So there I was able to apply my subjects in statistics, in trending. So I enjoyed those making trends, reading trends, working on the statistics, and also had a I was introduced also to sales as well. So, but there I continued to be passionate about people. I was exposed to a lot of salespeople, and I'd still enjoy building relationships with them and with their customers. But so also my passion for development was stayed there. And then I went back to Baguio and worked with the biggest distributor of San Miguel. So I was still in sales and marketing. And there now I had the experience to be in sales myself, to be in sales, but I handled a team. So I was exposed to people management, and I work with a lot of customers. So I was also exposed to stakeholder relations. So I remained to be passionate about people, but this time also I was very, interested in solving problems and hitting targets because I was in sales. Then after a few years, maybe after 2 years, I applied with Nestle Philippines. That was 18 years ago. So my first role in Nestle Philippines was I was part of the distributor management team. So we were the team that put up the business model for distributors. So because before, in the early days, the salespeople would go straight, Nestle salespeople will go straight to the stores. But through the distributor model that we developed, is we formed already this model where companies, third-party companies, will be able to reach out to the stores and sell for Nestle. So and during that time, I was still interested because we were able to do also develop programs for our sales distributors. So I could see there already my interest also in developing programs and then setting up business models because I had the opportunity to developing frameworks and also developing programs for the distributors and customers. So I was so passionate also with people, and then I was so passionate with training and pioneering programs and business models. So after a few years, I had different roles already. I went out of the office, and then I myself became a sales manager. It took different roles of sales manager, from key accounts to distributor accounts to leading the regional sales team. So it's in this role that I realized I enjoy leading teams. I like mentoring and I like developing new leaders. Also, in leading the sales team, I also found that I was really passionate also about establishing partnership and mentoring and managing crisis and also leading change initiatives. So if you can see in my next two stages of my career, which I'll talk about later. But first, I'd like to talk first about my role as a woman. So while I was doing that, we all know that a woman has triple roles. So productive work, which is the ones I shared earlier, the reproductive work was because I was a mother already. Even I was a mother while I was working. So I was performing this reproductive work while I was going to my productive work. And also I have also my community work or the volunteer work that I do, which significantly also changed the next two stages of my career. So here, I started in volunteerism. So I was a founding member of JCI, Junior Chamber International Baguio Sunflower. And I would always say that day that I committed as a volunteer, I think was the day I committed to change the future. So I started in 2006 as a founding member, but you can see with my exposure to the different roles from starting a small chapter in Baguio City to going out of Baguio City to Luzon to becoming the National Secretary General, Executive Vice President, the Treasurer, and the National President of a very of Junior Chamber International Philippines. So this exposed me really to a lot of social issues, to different types of people, and also to different cultures. So this exposure of mine made me a 360, gave me a 360 view of where really I want to bring myself. So if you can see, in the coming years, I thought to myself, I've stopped of thinking already what I want to get in this life, but what can I give in this lifetime? And from individual action to collective action, because I believe that to do good, I have to do it with others. And so volunteering was a significant part of my role while I was doing my job at Nestle, which Nestle fully supports as well. So while I was doing this, Nestle saw how passionate and good how passionate and I was in volunteering, and in also working with other peoples, working with other stakeholders, and bringing together to common goal. So they saw that skill in me and saw that opportunity for me to be in corporate affairs. So at the next stages here, you can see, so while doing that, after my sales stint in Nestle, so I also went back to the office to develop my strategic thinking. So I was assigned in channel development, and in this role is I enjoyed project management, strategic thinking, and also working with other people. But in the last 2 years, so they saw in this role also channel development, I was able to work with I proposed a passion project to Nestle, where we work with barangay health workers and empowered them to make healthy and nutritious food for the children in their barangays. So with that passionate project is I saw how I was really passionate about community development, and I wanted to be a contributor in addressing social issues of the country. So I applied. They saw me my opportunity to be part of corporate affairs, and therefore in the last 3 years I applied with corporate affairs, and now I'm leading the sustainability team, and I'm also part of public affairs. So in this role now, I can say that I feel like I'm not working. So I really wake up excited, do my job, and because my passion about people, community, about planet, about gender equality and women empowerment is what I'm doing right now. So imagine that. So I like what Steve Jobs said. He'd always say that the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it, keep looking it. Don't keep looking for it. So don't settle. So that's what happened for me, I think, in my 18-year journey. So you could see that it wasn't perfect. There were different. I tried different roles. I was not too scared to be in another different role and to go out of my comfort zone. So because I had to keep looking. And when I found that, it's not like going to work already, I think that's a perfect situation. And now you have the opportunity to do that. So I think all I could share with you based on my experience is, as mentioned by our two speakers earlier also, is find your North Star. So I'd also agree with what Steve Jobs said, that passion should become your North Star, because if you're working, if your passion is your North Star, the way it is my North Star right now, you wouldn't feel like you're working any day of your life. And I think that's the vision of work that everybody would want to have. And also you have to live your purpose. I shared earlier that my purpose is to emancipate women from different forms of oppression. So specifically, you don't have to be in women NGO, in any role that you are, just like me in sustainability and public affairs. I just ensure that women in the role that I do is part of my objectives always in the projects that I do, is I'm able to live this purpose. And then ensure also that your values are aligned with the values of the organization you work. So why am I still with Nestle? I've been with Nestle for 18 years already because our values are very, very much aligned. So that's very important when you consider also to not just finding the right job, but finding the right company to work for. And also, we said you have to unlock your futurist mindset. You know, the 19% studies show that 19%, challenge old ways of thinking, 63% develop future scenarios. But, we say you create the future, do not just plan for it. You have that privilege and that opportunity to create that future. So maybe there's even a different type of work that you can create because of your pure imagination. So again, you embrace your journey. We have my journey is different than the journey of our first two speakers. Your journey is different from mine. Your journey is different from the journey of your batchmates. Embrace yours. Okay, it doesn't have to be similar to the other people's journey. And again, do something bigger than yourself. I know we are in a stage right now we get some pressure, some influences, but really, at the end of the day, you have that opportunity to see what's happening in the country and in the world, and you have that opportunity as well to do something about it. So do something bigger than yourself when you plan for your career. Make sure that's also you keep that in mind. And then also because of the digital age, you and I hope and you'll also have the opportunity to go out to the communities, especially to the marginalized communities. You have to recognize social inequalities and come to think about it while you're thinking of your career plan. How can your current life, current and future self change the future today? So thank you very much. I would love to hear from you. I've read your questions. And so let's talk. And maybe after this, let's hook up in Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Miss Cristina Ponce Garcia. Very enlightening, very youthful. Hook up, okay? A lot of people and a lot of our students are into environmentalism and all of these things. So this would probably also be a way for you on how would you like to express yourself. Now, we are halfway through our sessions. Okay, applause for Ms. Ponce. We are halfway through our session. Our speakers will now address some questions which we received beforehand. Here are some of the questions for Mr. Mata. I lost it here. Hold on 1 minute. No.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yes, Mr. Mata. What preparations or steps did you go through in order for you to be where you are? You have to be some kind of lawyer at first. These are from the students.
No, I'm not a lawyer, but I studied public administration and I took up masters in administration, specifically national security, and then public management. So if you go to government, these are useful education or academic preparation for you to go to public sector. Because you learn the rubrics, the nuances of administration, and not only the principles in public management and all, but what is also important is your leadership journey, your leadership style, and your purpose. As I mentioned, you have to really search your purpose and understand that, and to stick to that, whatever happens. It's very challenging in government. You would be hurt, you would be punched, you would be whatever. But if your purpose, like Nehemiah, he just persisted. He just continued with the work because he has that purpose in mind to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And if you're a public manager, you're a public official, whatever they throw to you, if your purpose is to help this country move forward, then you would just stick to it, and eventually God would honor that and accomplish your purpose.
Thank you. I think that's more will, or what people would say political will, when it comes to work with government. We now have a question for, thank you, Mr. Mata. We have a question now for Ms. Ponce Garcia. Has there been any successful attempts to use more environmentally sustainable packaging on the end of Nestle company, as they are the ones responsible, okay, for the packaging design? At this point of the product's lifespan, does Nestle consider their responsibility in managing the said product for packaging? It's very crucial.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. That's a very good question. So, Nestle Philippines also advocating for the extended producer's responsibility. So this is a bill that was passed by the Congress and the Senate, where the responsibility goes also to the private sector. So we are advocates of that, and also 70, I think more than 70% already for packaging is recyclable or reusable. So the other 30% is we are currently working with that with partners, innovators. In fact, we put up a packaging institute in Switzerland to be able to really develop innovations for and ensure that by 2025 we live to our commitment that our packaging, all of our packaging would be recyclable and reusable. Thank you.
Do you get to go to Switzerland often for that?
No, I wish I did.
Yes.
But I think that's carbon footprint.
Oh yeah, I know. Okay. So how much did your college degree affect your career from finding your first job? Because you said you were connecting the dots. So how did you find yourself from before and where you are now? And the college degree, for one thing, how did it affect your decision and your path to where you are?
That's right. I think, as I mentioned, because part of applied economics, one of the subjects is development economics and also macroeconomics. So I found interest in that. And then that's the knowledge that I learned from those subjects, and I was able to apply them now in the development work that I do as part of sustainability team of Nestle. So also in my career path, you could see that some of my roles had a lot of things to do with numbers. So with numbers, microeconomics, macroeconomics as well, looking at the trends when I was in channel strategy. So that part of, I think a huge contributor also to my success there are the things and the skills I learned when I was during my BS Applied Economics time in college.
All right. Thank you. So students, I hope you heard that, and I hope you will try to follow through. I have a question now for Miss Cristina Hernandez, or our agent CC Hernandez. Are you there?
Hi.
Yes, Miss CC Hernandez. I have a letter here. Well, a short note. I'm an inspiring diplomat, and I know that to get there, I would have to pass the Foreign Service Office exam, or FSOE. How detailed? I think they're really interested. I hear a lot about it and how challenging it can be. So I've started preparing as early as now by starting foreign language classes. She's currently, or he or she is currently learning French, and also being socially aware of the current events around the world. As the acting director of the Department of Foreign Affairs, what are the other things that you advise that I start preparing for as early as now in grade 11, as well as the skills you think I should develop when continuing my journey to becoming a diplomat?
Well, the first foundations that he or she will need, aside from languages, is world history. Because what's happened in the past is what affects the dynamics internationally and affects future conflicts that may arise. So knowing world history would be a big help, no matter what office he or she gets assigned to someday in the DFA. Also, regarding skills, there's adaptability and attention to detail. They need to be able to adapt to different situations, different environments, different offices, different types of work in the department, because it's really varied. And then that attention to detail in every assignment they submit, in every work that they do, no matter what effort it is, and that attention to detail will help make sure that there's no big problems going out later on. For languages, I tried studying a bunch of different languages when I was in high school, but in the end, for the exam, you only need one language. And if your fluency in that is intermediate level, that should get you through the exam pretty good. But yeah, world history, it's really important because reading the newspaper doesn't make up for a foundation in world history as well. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Okay. So if you mention those things, what else would it take? Okay, this is another question as a follow-up. Any qualities or any other qualifications that you need? Because what you've mentioned are most background, but I guess the person would like to ask what kind of character you should have, probably.
Well, you start with integrity.
Integrity.
That's the most important place to start because
Service.
yeah, there's going to be a lot of different situations that they'll face, but integrity is really what'll keep them going down the right path when they're in the service.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Now we have questions for everybody. Okay, this is, I don't know who also has an accounting background, but is it possible to become rich as an accountant? If anybody would like to answer. This is, anyone?
I'd answer that.
Yeah.
How do you define rich?
Will you become rich? Yeah.
That's my answer to that because we may have different definitions of rich, but I think in any role that you do, so I think you can be rich in experience. So, like what I've said, if you are living your purpose and being able to contribute to society, that for me, as an accountant, you can be rich.
Yeah, I think, the answer there is that. And then we have also Mr. Mata and Mr. Hernandez. They find fulfillment. It's enriching what they are doing because they, I think, have found purpose in their life and how to serve the community. In fact, we have Miss Cici or Agent Cici Hernandez, who everybody would think that going abroad and going to the States would be the answer and end all for everything, but finds herself relinquishing her citizenship, mind you, to be back in foreign service representing the Philippines. And that would probably show how much love also that Mr. Mata has for our country by being a public servant and trying to have integrity, as Ms. Ponce said earlier. I think that's the richness that people would find, Another thing I'd like to also ask is a question here that you talked about instances and roadmaps and all of these dots that brought you where you are. How much of your career roadmap is planned for nakalagay? So this is being asked in light of being unexpected as such, So a lot of these students are wondering what would be the moment that you would say would be destiny as pointed out, or what and where it would lead you to. And there are some points that show you that this is where I want to go, but it totally turns around. So what are those points that one should probably look into, or what did you, or what was your turning points in your path to your career? Any of the speakers, please.
The first is to seek God's guidance. It all started from there. My experience started from there. And when I was saying that God put in my heart that purpose, and He also gave that passion to pursue that. I could have gone to other career, probably to get rich or what, to earn more bigger income. But I tell you, in government, you would not achieve that. Again, that purpose. How do you define that rich thing? If you're rich, definition is to gain more people, friends, and to help more people, similar to what the other speakers are saying. Then that's the purpose that God put in there in your heart. You cannot ignore that, and you cannot escape from that. But again, it should start from that deep reflection and seeking God's guidance in all those things. It started when I was in the university. When I was, I think I was third year college in UP, I started to serve as a university's student counselor. And then from there on, I pursued the higher academic preparation related to administration, related to going to government, because I want to equip myself and become ready in that field. So it all starts from seeking God's will in your life.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. So it's more like Agent Cici Hernandez's prayer was, God, where you lead me, there I go. Is that so for everybody? I think it is, right?
Yes.
Yes. Finding
Yes.
purpose. Yes. Who was?
If I may share, also maybe we're not saying you don't plan, because I think most of our experiences like appeared like we did not plan to where we are right now. You're in the best position when you also plan for your future. But like all other plans, it may not happen. So be agile enough to adjust to what will happen. Like for example, for me, I could have planned to be working somewhere else right now, but during the pandemic, the environment would change. So be able to adjust to what will happen. So, plan puts you ahead, but make sure that you be flexible and be agile as well when your plans change and the environment changes, that you cannot be able to hit all the milestones that you planned for.
Okay, thank you. Anything for Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, I agree that flexibility or adaptability is very important with this. You can set a goal and plan out all the steps that you need. Like, I need to study this to become this later on. I need to study this to do this later on or to accomplish this. But if things don't go the way you expect, you have to be able to adapt to that as well and to the opportunities presented to you. Because I thought by now I'd be a novelist, and now I am a diplomat. So very big difference.
You finished the book, right?
Yes, I'm hoping to send it to a publisher this year.
All right. Okay. So like what everybody said, you may have planned for something, but it didn't go the right way or something turned. I've read that most of you, or like two of you, are UP graduates. So the people who are in the Ateneo now may be thinking they'll be going all the way Ateneo, but may end up in UP and see what the UP products are, right? Anyway, Father Bert, apologies for that, but one big fight all the way for everybody. We would like to thank the speakers for the first part this morning. Big round of applause virtually. Yes. We will be turning into our next session already with our other speakers. So again, thank you very much from the PUSH and from the Ateneo and from everybody and from the students. Very much appreciated. We will now move on to our other set of speakers. Okay, an awarding. Okay, who will award? Okay, Miss Mary Ann Sarte will award our speakers and by giving them certificates and tokens. So let's hand it over to Ms. Sarte. Mrs. Sarte.
Yes, thank you, Tiny. The Office of Parent Relations and Programs and the Parents Union for School and Home wish to acknowledge, thank, and express our deep appreciation for the valuable insights shared with our Ateneo students by Vladimir T. Mata, Maria Cristina Cecilia C. Hernandez, Maria Christine Ponce Garcia, at the mini career exploration talks entitled Creating Your Own Career Roadmap, given on this 19th day of February 2022 at the Ateneo de Manila University, Loyola Heights, Quezon City. Signed by Mr. Honorario and Attorney Jessica Ann M. Lacson Hizon, the chair couple, Grade 11 Push Council, Father Alberto V. Ampil, SJ, Director, Parent Relations and Programs, Mr. Noel P. Miranda, Principal, Ateneo de Manila Senior High School. Thank you, dear speakers. Tiny?
Yes. Oh, okay. And we're back. Our next speakers will be introduced by Ms. Chris Aguiluz, CPR of 11 Moscos Hope. Ms. Aguiluz,
Here.
we would like to see you.
Okay, I'm here. Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Colonel Ahmad U. Omar Jr. graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree from the Philippine Military Academy. He took up a master's degree in National Security Administration at the National Defense College of the Philippines, a master's degree in Public Administration, major in Development and Security at the Development Academy of the Philippines. With 30 years in the military service, from being a seasoned combat helicopter pilot, he has assumed various positions of major responsibilities, such as former commander, PAF, Search and Rescue Squadron, among other responsibilities. He's also presently the chief of AFP Office for Legislative Affairs. Because of his outstanding service, he was awarded with various military awards and commendations. More importantly, he is also a recipient of the second highest military award, the Outstanding Achievement Medal. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Colonel Ahmad U. Omar Jr.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that very kind introduction, ma'am Chris. Now, how's my audio?
Clear?
Okay. Faculty members present, fellow speakers, fellow government workers, parents, students, other guests online, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good day, grade 11 students of Ateneo Senior High School. It is my pleasure to be invited as one of your speakers for these career exploration talks. Likewise, it is my honor to share with you my journey to becoming an officer and a pilot of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and hopefully inspire you to become like one in the near future. First and foremost, speaking before you is Colonel Ahmad Jr. Omar Jr., Philippine Air Force, MNSA. I was a second-year college civil engineering student at the University of Santo Tomas when I decided to join the PMA Bantay-Laya class of 1994 as a plebe in 1990. After graduating from PMA, I joined the Philippine Air Force where I underwent various career and specialization training for an Air Force officer. I took up a lot of courses, to name a few: basic Air Force officer course, pilot training at the Philippine Air Force Flying School, where I graduated and received the prestigious Vicente Rivera Award for #1 in flying in 1996. I've been assigned to different units and offices of the AFP, and currently I am the Chief Office for Legislative Affairs, Armed Forces of the Philippines. Through my military career, I received numerous awards, commendations, and yours truly is a recipient of second highest military award, the Outstanding Achievement Medal. As a seasoned combat pilot, I've accumulated a total of 3,000 flying hours and a recipient of Philippine Air Force Senior Rating Badge and 2,500 flying hours accidentally award. Now I know you guys are curious or somewhat confused about what I'm saying. What is PMA? What is AFP? What are they doing? And what is Colonel Omar doing as an Air Force officer? So to give you a better understanding of the AFP, the requirements to be a soldier, the benefits you can have as a soldier, allow me this time you this information. The Armed Forces of the Philippines is responsible for upholding the sovereignty of the country, supporting its constitution and defending its territory against all enemies. It is composed of the Philippine Army, the Philippine Navy, and the Philippine Air Force. Actually, in joining the AFP, you can choose among the three major services to join. The Philippine Army or hukbong katihan ng Pilipinas is the principal and oldest branch of the AFP. The Philippine Army is responsible for defending the country through land and combat operations. Technically, guys, they are the ones who are on the ground. Philippine armies are the ones who operate on remote areas and areas with our enemies, such as what you are watching in the news. The Philippine Navy is the naval warfare branch of the AFP and shares the responsibility of patrolling the maritime borders with the Philippine Coast Guard. Basically, soldiers in the Philippine Navy operate on our maritime borders to guard and patrol and make sure that there will be no trespassers on our bodies of water. The Philippine Air Force, or Hukbong Himpapawid ng Pilipinas, where I belong, is the aerial warfare service branch of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, responsible for both defending the Philippine airspace and conducting aerial operations throughout the Philippines, such as close air support operations, combat air patrols, aerial reconnaissance missions, airlift operations, helicopter tactical operations, and aerial humanitarian operations. The Philippine Air Force are the one who operates on air, and they are the ones who maintains and operates our air assets intended for defense and operations. Now, to show you a little sneak peek on how the Philippine Air Force works, please see this short video.
The Philippine Air Force prides itself as the air arm of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. By this mandate, the vital role of the Philippine Air Force is to provide a credible air defense against internal and external threats. For more than 70 years, the Philippine Air Force has clearly shown that it has been effective and responsive in the country's demand for sustaining peace and stability. The lessons of the Second World War highlighted the value of air power and the importance of an independent air force as a separate branch of service and as a nation's first line of defense. The Philippine Air Force continued to spread its wings to contain the post-war threat of the Republic, such as the Hukbalhap insurgency in Luzon and the Kamlon uprising in Mindanao. Through these achievements, the Philippines making a shield for democracy in Southeast Asia, a symbol of which were the F-86 Sabre jets. 7 momentous and glorious decades proved the gallantry and excellence of its airmen. As a result, the national security situation has clearly shown that we have been responsive in delivering air power whenever and wherever it is needed. The Philippine Air Force's core purpose is derived from the mandate of the Armed Forces of the Philippines that is inscribed in the 1987 Philippine Constitution to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. As an integral component of the AFP, the PAF is responsible for the conduct of air operations in coordination with the Philippine Army and the Philippine Navy.
Now, to show and give you an idea about the requirements in applying for the Armed Forces of the Philippines as well as the benefits of working in the AFP. There are several ways that an applicant can be recruited to join the military service. The Cadet Corps, the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Those who wanted to become part of the Cadet Corps AFP and later serve as one of the leaders of the AFP may take the PMA exam. The qualification to be a PMA cadet is reflected on the screen. To give you also an idea about the PMA, I will show you another short clip.
At the Philippine Military Academy, transformation is a way of life. Every year, young men and women, mostly fresh out of high schools across the country, embark on this unique journey. Starting out as civilians with raw intellectual and physical assets, they undergo a regimen that would decimate their ranks in the next 4 years. Those who survive do not just graduate, they emerge as a unique breed of leaders. Formally established in December 1935, through the National Defense Act of the Philippine Commonwealth, the PMA traces its roots to the short-lived Academia Militar, created under the First Philippine Republic in 1898. Under American colonial rule, formal military training was revived in 1905. An officer's school later came to be known as the Philippine Constabulary Academy, based in Baguio City. The PMA supplanted the Constabulary School and replaced its 3-year curriculum with a 4-year Bachelor of Science program. World War II temporarily halted PMA operations, forcing the advanced graduation of the classes of 1942 and 1943 for deployment to actual combat. In 1947, 10 months after the post-war Philippine Republic was inaugurated, the PMA reopened at Camp Henry T. Allen in Baguio City. 3 years later, the academy moved to a sprawling fort in nearby Lawakan, fittingly named after the heroic Revolutionary General Gregorio del Pilar. The PMA would remain an all-male institution until 1993, when it admitted its first female cadets in accordance with Republic Act 7192. In 2018, the PMA synchronized its calendar with that of the Department of Education under the K-12 program. Over the years, the PMA has refined a holistic program for developing cadets in body, mind, and spirit to become exemplary leaders in the military and beyond. The program encompasses character formation, balanced academics, military leadership, and intense physical training.
As I have said, there are several ways to apply or to be recruited in the military service. For officer candidate course, you must possess the following qualification as shown. For applying for officer preparatory course, these are the qualifications as projected on the screen. On the other hand, for enlisted personnel or non-commissioned officers, candidate soldiers must possess the following qualifications projected on the screen. Now, these are the benefit package if you will join the AFP. The pay and allowances currently being offered to the military personnel are as shown. And these are the current monthly pay and allowances being offered to the lowest ranks of each categories, as projected on the screen. On insurance and healthcare benefits, the AFP has its own treatment facilities that can cater to dental healthcare needs, surgery, rehabilitation, and other medical interventions. Likewise, a decent retirement package is also offered to retiring military personnel today. The AAP continues to exert more effort to improve it. We are continuously calling for the support of our legislative bodies to legislate laws for its improvement. On billeting and housing privileges, military personnel, even during their training, are granted with billeting or barracks, especially for those who are from provinces. This is to help them have a comfortable living condition that is near their place of assignment. You know that military personnel are being assigned to different units in the country for the entire military career. Yes, I've been assigned all over the Philippines since the beginning of my military career. On the other hand, as part of the appreciation of the government for the sacrifices that our soldiers are doing for the safety and freedom of the country. They are also offered with housing privileges they can avail at a lower price than that of being offered by private housing developers. This is to help them provide a decent and comfortable dwelling for their families. On job security, essentially, job security means a guarantee of permanent and long-lasting employment. A career in the military is very stable, which means you can build a savings account while working. The military benefits of free healthcare, housing stipends, and travel expenses can also leave extra room in your budget. A military personnel has the option to retire from the service upon attainment of 20 years of military service. Likewise, a military personnel is also allowed to serve the country until he reaches the retirement age of 56. On leadership and other skills, training skills. The AFP Education and Doctrine Command is the institution of the AFP that provides joint professional military education and training to the AFP and select professionals. You see, when you enter the military service, there is a continuity of education and development of skills, as there are numerous courses and schooling being offered to them. I've attended both the international and local schooling sponsored by our government for the aim of further professionalizing our military forces. Personally, I have a Master's in National Security Administration and Master's in Public Administration, major in Development and Security. I also had my advanced officer course for 1 year in Lockwood Air Force Base, Texas, USA in 2004. On opportunity for career advancement based on performance. Officers and enlisted personnel undergo trainings that will capacitate them for their promotion and advancement in their military career. In the military service, there will be a continuous career progression. Examples are shown on the slide. On opportunity to lead. Being in the AFP gives you the opportunity to lead people. Shown in the slides as Chief of Staff, the AFP, the current CSAP General Andy Centino. And of course, included is yours truly, who is currently the Chief Office for Legislative Affairs, Armed Forces of the Philippines. Being in the AFP allows an individual to lead, as defined a leader is someone who provides example, guidance, and direction. In conclusion, if you were to ask me what qualities should the soldier have in order to be successful in this field, the following are my answers: loyalty to your country and countrymen, dedication to duty as protector of the nation, respect your commanders and subordinates, selfless service, or bayan muna bago sarili, do everything for honor, be a man of integrity, and lastly, to address the challenges you may encounter, have a personal courage. For those who are interested and would want to know more information about the recruitment in the AFP, you may visit the following website or simply use google.com. I'm personally encouraging everyone to like and follow these FB pages as shown to be able to update on the announcement, endeavors, and initiatives of our AP. That ends my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope that my talk has motivated interest from some of you to pursue a military career, may it be in the Philippine Army, Philippine Navy, like me, a pilot in the Philippine Air Force. And at this point, I would like to answer the interesting questions forwarded for me. So
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Colonel Omar. Actually, we do have interested questions, but before we go on, we know you will have to be flying off somewhere today, very important. We would like to ask the first set of speakers with you as the fourth speaker to have a photo op before you fly off, sir. Is
Yes,
that possible, sir?
Please, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Could you turn on your camera so we could see you, so we could have our first set also? Please. Lisa, okay. Is everyone there? Ah, wow. Our secret agent has also a puppy or a cat. Yes, everyone? Miss Ponce, is she there? Oh, there she is. Colonel, okay. Smile. Okay. Is that it? I have a question for. Is that it? No?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, thank you also for waiting for the photo op. Thank you so much. My question now, there's a question for Colonel Omar. How does the AFP and other military forces of the country interact with forensic pathologists of our country in different operations? How very technical, sir.
Okay. My answer to that question. Forensic pathologists are trained medical examiners who determines the cause and manner of death of people who died suddenly, unexpectedly, or violently. They can play a crucial role in the armed conflicts and events that involve violence and torture, and deaths of suspicion of a foul play like murder or homicide instead of death from sickness or natural causes. In cases like this, sir, we work hand in hand with them to resolve these matters as soon as possible. I think if I can recall it correctly, Dr. Fortun, a forensic pathologist expert, was tapped to investigate the Maguindanao massacre. And then yung sa pag-identify ng mga namatay dun sa Marawi Hills.
Yes. Dr. Fortun, very known pathologist doctor. She also did the one of ozone and all the others. Anyway, I also think that was a question asked because of the accident that we heard this morning, and we would like to extend our condolences to the military family and AF because we heard the accident this morning about the 3 officers who passed away. Yes, and one surviving person, the driver. So, okay, the PUSH and all the parents would like to extend the condolences to the military and the families of the personnel involved. I think that we don't have, or we have other questions, but I don't think you have time, sir.
I have questions here forwarded to me. So maybe mabilis lang, sagutin ko na lang. Okay, basahin ko na lang, ano?
Thank you. Yes.
Naitanong dito sa kasama nating mga speakers. Is it possible to become rich as a soldier? As a soldier, a soldier is a government employee with a salary grade according to one's rank. With the present support of our governments regarding increases for our salary, a soldier can support his family's needs. Thus, we can live a comfortable life. No? Katulad ng sinabi ng mga kasama natin, being rich is, I think, would depend on one's definition. What I'm definite of it is the soldier's salary can adequately provide for his family. Okay? Ito pa, may tanong dito na sabi, do you have backup plans or other interests? How did you choose to commit to the path you took? Okay. Being an Air Force pilot, one would always have an option to become a commercial pilot for private airlines like PAL and Cebu Pacific and even international airlines. Like my fellow speaker, si Captain Narciso, he used to be my colleague. He was, before siya pumasok sa airline business, naging piloto sa airline, I used to be a Air Force officer. No? We came from the same institution, galing siya sa PMA and then sa flight school. But as of this case, I've chosen to remain committed to my career because this is where I find fulfillment in the service of our country and people. No? Ito naman, may tanong pa dito. How much of your career roadmap is planned for? Okay. With God's grace, I would like to say that I'm blessed that most of my plans, I can say 90% regarding my military career, have been fulfilled. Actually, the unexpected details are still more of a blessings rather than disadvantages. For example, I've been assigned in Sulu in Tawi-Tawi. No? I think I was the longest commander there for 3 years. But maski nandun ako, nakita ko mas marami ako natutunan ng doon. Maski natagalan ako doon, mas marami akong experience na naging doon. Okay, okay, what made you realize you wanted to be in your career? I realized I wanted to be in my career when I passed PMA, and then I knew that I was meant to be a soldier. Okay, ito pala. Do you still get lots of free time? As a soldier, you are committed to be at of service 24/7. So you should be prepared anytime, anywhere. No holidays. Official leave of absence will be fine. So as a soldier, can be on vacation, but even on official leave, you can be ordered to go back to duty. No? Depende sa gravity ng sitwasyon. Kailangan bumalik ka pa rin. Anytime, pwede kayo patawan. Ganyan po ang pagiging sundalo. Okay, yung last question. What made you realize that this career is for you? Courage, integrity, and loyalty. These three are the motto of Philippine Military Academy. All the men and women who graduated from it, personally, I believe in this motto. That is how I realized this career is for me. To provide selfless service to our country and people. To protect them is our duty. To uphold our country's sovereignty is our sacred vow. I take pride to be able to do all this as a soldier. So this is a perfect career for me. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po, sir.
Thank you, sir. Virtual applause po and have a safe flight po, okay? Thank you again. As mentioned, richness is in the fulfillment of the job that you have found yourself in and your passion. It's not monetary always, okay? So fulfillment. So we will move on to our fifth speaker, Ms. Desiree Manglubanan. She will be introduced by the very, Ms. Chris Aguiluz.
Our next speaker is a friend and someone I've personally worked with in her social enterprise. Ms. Desiree R. Mangulagnan is a jack of all trades in her own right. She finished her Bachelor of Arts, Philippine Arts Management at the University of the Philippines, Manila, and is currently taking up her Master's in Arts, Art History at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Des is the gallery manager of an art gallery and platform focused on showcasing visual cutting-edge programs expressed through painting, sculpture, installation, and new media. She is also the program director of a social enterprise that works with underprivileged women by enabling their skills to design high-quality, sustainable, and handcrafted products out of waste materials, allowing them to create transformative change in and out of the environment. In her earlier years, Des was also an instructor at the University of the Philippines, Manila, teaching humanities, arts management, and Philippine arts subjects. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Desiree R. Mangulagnan.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I hope my audio is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, great.
Yes, po.
Okay. I'll share my screen really quick. Okay, dokes. Okay. Thank you, Miss Christine, for that introduction. Yes, dear guests, Miss Christine and I have been working ever since I was onboarded with Invisible Sisters. And to give you a short overview dun sa timeline ko, after I graduated, I did go to UP Manila, and I wasn't really sure of what course I will take, but I was heavily influenced in the arts because as early as grade school, I had formal training in ballet. So I was really a dancer by heart. That was ballet, then cheerleading and hip hop classes. Until going to college, it was really part of my daily routine. And when I was about to graduate, I have been involved already with dance gigs. Let's say dance gigs. And it already became a job. So at the top of my head, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be a full-time dancer. And I was still upbeat, and I was able to travel the country. I was already earning good money from it. And my weekends was always at GMA and ABS. It was ASAP, and then it was Party Pilipinas. And that was together with teaching at UP Manila already. And it was pretty amazing that in my early 20s, I was able to do everything in one day. And eventually, after quite some time in teaching, I taught for 5 years at UP Manila. I kind of felt that it was already taking a toll on me physically together with dancing, and I had to give up one. So it was very painful for me to actually retire from dance and focus in something else. And that eventually led me to Invisible Sisters. And I'll tell you why I stuck with this, no? Kasi it's a very difficult thing for you to pin everything in the long-term basis, because really along the way, sometimes you'd be offered different paths. So I'll be talking more about Invisible Sisters and eventually share with you why I stuck to this. So as Ms. Christine shared, Invisible Sisters is a social enterprise that creates fashion items, home items made out of 100% recycled plastic. Yes. What I love about Invisible Sisters is it is greatly part of my advocacy. It's very close to my heart. That's why I was able to jump to Invisible Sisters. From my background, you'd notice I don't have any business degree. It was when I was with Invisible Sisters that I was taught on how to run a social enterprise. It's pretty fun. I've been a director for almost going on my 4th year, and I'm still learning the ropes. But it's really really fulfilling each day. So there. I've always been asked, why is it Invisible Sisters? Sometimes people say, oh, are you working with nuns? No. The invisible term refers to two things. One would be the underprivileged women that I work with. So I currently work with 25 women. These are the nanays and lolas that I dearly love. And they're from 8 communities across Taguig in Manila. So each community would have 3 to 5 women, 3 to 5 active women. So there. The second invisible term would be from the waste material that is seen on landfills and waterways, basically trash. So what's the deal here? At Invisible Sisters, we want to acknowledge that these invisibles should be visible and then turned into something that is functional, something that could be seen as opportunities to create social impact, to create something positive for the environment. So you're basically helping the women in need, and at the same time, we're helping the environment. So it's a two-pronged advocacy, which is very, very lovely. There. So we do value 3 things at Invisible Sisters. First is Filipino ingenuity, design, and craftsmanship. We want to highlight each day the art of crochet by our nanays and lolas. Not everyone is patient enough to learn and master the craft, but our nanays and lolas are amazing with it. We want to also look into the innovation of Filipino craftsmanship. So what I do is I also give our women the choice to create their own designs. It's a nice opportunity for them, even though that they are not employed. I'd like to give them that sense that they could have their own choice. I think it's a need, for each one. So this is anchored to one of what I've been pursuing ever since college. It's about Philippine arts. Philippine arts and arts management was my undergrad, and then my MA right now is art history. So I'm really geared to that. I know it's not business related in terms of Invisible Sisters, but the drive comes from that heart for Philippine arts. It is connected to who creates the arts, and these are the women. So still, it's Maka-Filipina, it's Maka-Filipino, and then it's Makasining. That's why I'm very much glued to Invisible Sisters. The second one is we want to highlight transformative change with our women. We want to give them that sense of self-confidence. We want to give them that sense of increased self-worth. self-worth. So we give them work even though they're unemployed. The reason why, because they lack papers, they haven't finished specific degrees, they're just stay-at-home nanays. And I understand that they have other things that they do at home. So they're home takers, they're other home care workers, and then they also bantay their tindahan, naglalaba, marami silang pinagkakakitaan. No? And Invisible Sisters is one of the avenues for them to get a source of income. So we want to bring these work to unemployable women. We want to let them manage their time and life needs. And their work is actually brought at their own home. So they'll be able to, do the other stuff that they do at home, which is helpful in their end. And what's amazing also is through Invisible Sisters, these nanays and lolas are also informed of what environmental awareness is. They understand that it's recycled plastic. They understand that there is a need to care for the environment. So I get to hear stories also that they themselves reuse and repurpose plastic that they get from the supermarkets or from the little sando bags that they get from the little tindahans, which is amazing because at least I see collective effort in the women of Invisible Sisters to create good change here in the Philippines. Manila, sige. I'm really eyeing at something bigger, of course. The last one is environmental awareness. Now, for Invisible Sisters, you'd see that the plastic is already with specific colors. We do have a partnered recycler at Novaliches, Quezon City. I've been to their factory. There's a lot of plastics that go to our country, not only a collection of plastic trash here in the Philippines, but would you believe that even other countries throw their plastic trash here in our country? So our recyclers have a lot to work with, and we are just one of the enterprises that help repurpose these plastics. So they already melt it down. They already do it in this particular texture. They bring it to us already in that form, and they're ready to be crocheted by our women there. So what I want eventually is to upcycle also other trash waste. So we're currently partnered also with Nespresso. You'd be familiar with the coffee capsules that they use. These could also be repurposed into something. I'm still currently in production and product development, still learning the knickknacks about the product, but we do want to expand from plastic and help help in other ways to reduce the waste here in our environment. I do understand that there are other enterprises that focus on reclaimed wood, repurposed metal, may mga iba sa ibang aspeto ng paghahabi rin. And it's nice to also highlight that Invisible Sisters focus on plastic. I've always believed that you can't do everything. It's really a collective effort by many individuals so that bigger progress is achieved. So to share with you some of our products, we create placemats, coasters, your home items, and then we also work with pouches, bags. Specifically, we had to adjust also because of the pandemic. So we had to work with disinfection essentials as well. Admittedly, medyo naging matumal ang business, but we can't stop there because every day at the back of my mind, I always think of the women, I think of the nanays and lolas. So I need to find ways also, the team also needs to find ways para may trabaho pa rin ang mga nanay. There. And we also try to work with other decorations. So to share with you some of the mementos here at Moments in Invisible Sisters, if you are interested in getting our items, we don't have a physical store yet, but our items or products are seen at SM Cultura. I guess you would be familiar with Cultura because they do house a lot of local products. So Invisible Sisters is part of a smaller umbrella called Crafts for a Cause. And these are smaller enterprises, just like us. So we are at the 4 big malls. That's SM MOA, SM Makati, SM Mega Mall, and SM Aura there. And then, of course, what I like about Invisible Sisters is to the picture to the right is you also meet other women of the same heart, same drive, same advocacy of helping the underprivileged, helping the poor. So this is 2 Christmases ago, a collaboration with Bangon Filipinas. You could also search Bangon Filipinas. They produce beautiful face masks, also a social enterprise. And we were able to donate and nakalikom kami ng sapat na funds para makapagbigay ng mga Christmas gifts sa aming mga nanay. And here I present you the nanays and lolas that I work with. Very, very caring. No, I feel like an anak or an apo to them, and that's what I carry when I work. The previous director, when I asked her what's her drive, she says, I want to be a good mom. And when it was passed on to me, I said, oh, I can't be a mom yet because I'm not a mom in by nature. So I couldn't really fully grasp what that meant. So sabi ko, okay, this time around, I guess my mantra would be to be the good anak or to be the good apo. So there. Here is our Facebook and Instagram. If you'd be interested, just search and go through the catalogs if you like something. So there. Now to share with you that journey from where to here, from back then to here. I think it was such a lot of turning points from my end. I thought I was gonna be a dancer. I thought I was gonna be a full-time professor. But what clicked was when I was already encouraged to take tenureship at UP Manila. Sabi ko, that would be amazing. It's a job that would be very helpful for me. Pero parang may kulang pa. Ayoko lang na ako ay enclosed with walls of my educational institution, and I wanted to do more and be more. So that's one of the things that I always put into my heart, to be more than yesterday. And it's very vague, I know, but what helped me is the values that I got from dance. I might not be dancing anymore, but the values of discipline, dedication, and passion is there. No? In connection to that, I've always asked myself, what will be my why? And I think that's very important for you to embrace. What is your why? And in my end, my why was to serve the Philippines, brought about my education at UP Manila, and specifically to the women of the Philippines, the Filipina. And each one of us would have our different whys. It may be care for animals, it would be care for the elderly, care for children, but you can't really
Sa sobrang galing mo, hindi ka outgoing. Sa sobrang galing na secretary.
Thank you so much. So, yun yung iniisip ko lagi, ano yung magiging why ko. Kasi when I was in college, wala naman ako masyadong kaalaman sa environmental awareness. I was just a dancer. And now that I'm entering my 30s, there's another category that I'm so excited to uncover, and that's environmental awareness. And I'm able to practice that through Invisible Sisters. We are a small business, not even formal at the moment, but I'm really happy that we are able to encourage many people because of this social enterprise. So from that, sabi ko, tapos na yung pagsasayaw, kulang pa. Bakit ako sumasayaw lang sa ASAP? Ba't ako sumasayaw lang kasama ng mga artistang ito? Sabi ko, parang may kulang sa ginagawa ko araw-araw. No? Tapos, I would always remember with my college immersions na sobrang na-develop. Diba? Sabi ko, okay, solido na ako sa why ko. Pero it's not enough na hindi ako gumalaw. And I've learned this from my parents as well and the people I've worked with. It's so important to have malasakit sa kapwa. There. Malasakit, I don't think there's an exact English translation to that, no? But it really encompasses care, concern for others. And malasakit even goes further than that it already extends to just having that internal concern, but really urging you to move forward and work for that kapwa. And it's not even them working for them or with them, but it's working together. And the concept of us is always there in the concept of malasakit. So, I know you guys are still about to enter your college education, but it's nice that you have a solidified why. No, it doesn't need to be as specific as, okay, just like what Miss Des said, it's something about Philippines and then narrowed down to women. It could narrow down eventually when you are working already, and then eventually you would feel what's the pinakamalakas na kutob sa inyong mga puso. So, there, I was very, very much excited to share about Invisible Sisters, but by Miss Christine when she invited me. So sabi ko, what was I thinking when I was in my high school days, and what was I thinking during my early college days, and what were my own struggles, and what are my own victory. So yun yung gusto ko lang ma-share. I hope you learn something. I hope you support local. That's the key there. Support local, love local, and not only to the sport of liking. Maybe, take the next step. Take the next step of maybe buying, donating, kahit sa simpleng kamustahan lang sa mga kapwa Pilipino nyo. That's a very, very wonderful step, especially at this trying time. So, ayun, I've already passed 17 minutes and I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen. And thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Manluban. A virtual applause again, please. Malasakit, okay? She mentioned malasakit. Students, please remember, there's no beautiful translation that malasakit in Tagalog, I think, is in its purest form and you would understand it, okay? So there's no other translation. So we would like also to take a 2-minute break, but Mrs. Aguilos and Mrs. Vistan were supposed to show the exercises, but we don't have enough time. So we will just have a 2-minute break and we'll get back after that. Please come back, okay? Please come back. Thank you. Hello, yes. Good morning. So much for the 2-minute break. Now we have our sixth speaker, Mr. Raimundo Vergunino. So Mrs. Aguiluz will also introduce our speaker. So please go ahead.
Raymond Ver R. Ginoo is currently the marketing director for dairy at the Century Pacific Food Incorporated. He took up Bachelor of Science, major in Management Engineering at the Ateneo de Manila University and Digital Marketing Strategies from Kellogg Executive Education. Mr. Ginoo has extensive business experience built on both turnarounds and accelerating growth in consumer and telecommunications industries. He is an expert in marketing, having worked on big brands across various categories in Southeast Asia and Australia for both local and multinational companies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome an Atenean, Mr. Raymond Ver R. Ginoo.
Hello. Good morning. Am I coming across okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige. All right. I think I'm the last one. So, konti na lang, guys. I hope you can hold off for another 20 minutes. First of all, thank you for inviting me. So excited for this talk. And hopefully you pick up a little something after the next 10-15 minutes. So good morning. My name is Ray Ginoo. I'm the marketing director at the dairy division of Century Pacific Food Incorporated. So yeah, to begin with, siguro let me share my personal background from school, work, and my family, my history, so to speak, as I talk to you young people today about the profession of marketing. I have 6 children, from 1.5 years old all the way to 17, like many of you here, I think. So we've been a homeschooling family since 2007. Except for a few years when we would move due to work and my wife would be too busy being pregnant or giving birth. I enjoy biking and CrossFit, sports in general, and music. So yeah. So I'm what you would call a true blue Atenean. I don't know if that's still a term today. In grade school, I was in the Ateneo Boys Choir. I learned the love for music. I was also in the student council. So early on, I guess I was a performer, quote unquote, and learned to balance school and activities. In high school, I had the privilege of having Mr. Pagsanghan as our teacher, among our many other great teachers. I was in Dulaang Sibol, and it was there where I learned how to communicate to an audience, how to be a leader of a group, being the spokesman of the batch. This is also where I learned the discipline of hard work. Balancing schoolwork, extracurricular activities, which would entail late stays in school. I guess at a very young age, I was lucky through Ateneo and the opportunities that gave me to learn how to communicate to an audience. So remember that I'll come back to that later. Since this is where you guys are now, I thought I'd share what I went through picking schools or courses, different colleges. I'd always wanted to be a doctor. I was so sure about it throughout high school. I took biology lessons very seriously because of that. However, at the last moment, I hesitated with the amount of time I'd need to be in school before I could earn money. So the hesitation made me rethink my options. So I went with a management engineering track for Ateneo, and I went with a pre-med track in UP naman. But really, by that time, I was leaning more towards working in a corporate setting already. So what was key for me was speaking with people who were there, keeping an open mind, connect with people who are in college or have already graduated. You talk to of course, your parents and all. But like you guys, probably you have friends from earlier batches or friends of your brothers or sisters to give you a flavor of what to expect. So that's important. What they told me was that ME was going to be hard, so that was my course. But it was also in high demand after graduation. That's the hype. Happy to report that the hype was true. I think it still is today. There's a perception in hiring companies that ME is among the best to choose from. There are many colleges and there are many courses, and every college has those high-profile courses that are really good. No, not saying that all this is a guarantee, not at all. And there is an advantage you can use to your favor, but again, that's up to you. So where did my batchmates end up after college? It would be consumer goods companies. What are those? Mga Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Nestle. Those are the big multinational ones. The local ones would be Century, URC. Yan yung mga companies. No? Some are in banking. Some are in pharmaceutical companies, consulting companies, with varying positions of finance, sales, strategy, or marketing. So that's a flavor of what ME can lead you to, but that's not everything. But that's a big chunk of it already. So I wanted to make sure I got to that because that was one of the questions that was sent to me. So work. At work, so my first job was in Ford Motor Company, the car company. They used to have an office and a plant here. And this is where I learned to do marketing through a mentor, my first boss. 2 years there doing product planning and marketing. On my first day at work, I got to fly to Thailand. And in my 2 years there, I got to fly to Japan, Detroit, visiting Mazda and Ford headquarters and attending auto shows, which was very cool for a young graduate like me. After a couple of years, I moved to Unilever, first in sales for 2 years, then 9 years in marketing in the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore. I was in the regional office here serving Southeast Asia and Australia. I would credit Unilever as my marketing and business school. So having spent most of my time there in my 20 plus years at work, no? I spent 4 years at Globe doing mobile internet, prepaid, and this is where I spent most of the digital growth years of the Philippines. No? An important aspect of marketing these days. Digital growth in the Philippines is when, I guess, smartphones started to become more popular in the Philippines and data and mobile data. So that was a big shift in marketing. So I then moved to where I am now, doing marketing for Century Pacific. I handle milk. You'd probably know Century for Century Tuna, 555 Sardines, Argentina Corned Beef. If you don't know that Century had milk brands, you're not alone. And that's a big part of the reason why I moved here. And I'm now going on my 4th year in a company I'd now like to stay for the remainder of my working years. FYI, Birch Tree and Angel are some of our brands, in milk, by the way. So, sige, I'll go into that. What is marketing? Finally. Okay, so it's good to differentiate it from sales is another word that you will come across, but it's slightly different from marketing. Brand or branding is also different. Advertising or promotion. So these are all different words. They're interrelated, but closely associated with each other. Hopefully, after the next few slides and next few minutes, I'll be able to differentiate a little bit. So marketing is really about building relationships between customers and the brand or a company that delivers results. No, so it can't be just marketing for marketing's sake. Kailangan may benta, kailangan may profit because it's a business after all. If you're marketing a business, so marketing is one of the key functions in a company that sells a product or a service. So it sits in the middle of, let's say, manufacturing. Manufacturing makes the product. Finance teams naman ensure proper accounting and management of cash or investments or profitability. It sits in the middle of sales teams that deliver the day-to-day transactions with customers. So marketing teams function to ensure that there is a consistent demand for a product that you're making, making sure that there's a steady flow of new customers, customers that will use more of your product, or customers that will pay more for new products or new innovations that you will put out as a company, over time. And this all needs to happen in their mind, even before they go to the point of purchase, of actually shelling out cash for your product. It's a battle in the mind. So how does that work? Brands are what people remember. You could argue it's the lifeblood. A gauge of how strong a business is the brand. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Jollibee, Lazada, Apple, Nike, BTS, Starbucks, Minecraft are all brands that represent a thought in the minds of people, whether you use the brand or not. I bet everyone here has a thought or a feeling that comes up when I say the word Ferrari. And we have thoughts as well about people who have a Ferrari. So brands somewhat define what buyers buy, but it also defines the people who use them or who buy them, right? So it's also a projection of who you are, in a way. It's not so different from how we build relationships with people. How do we make friends? We introduce ourselves. We get to know a person more deeply through communication, consistent communication. It's fueled by experiences together, built over time, built with trust. Sometimes there will be rough moments between friends. And depending on how strong a relationship is, it could fall apart or it could stay on. The relationship is rational at first, so where the exchange is very transactional. You pay money, you get a hamburger. But over time, that relationship becomes deeper. Let's say McDonald's. McDonald's, in Katipunan opened when I was in grade school. And it came to represent many memories built for a true blue Atenean like me. So it wasn't just a place for when you're hungry for burger and fries. It was a place to meet friends after a show in Cebu, and that's how I started seeing my wife today. Fun fact. And that's how the brand evolves, from a rational nature to an emotional one, where it can now fill a gap in people and even be part of your identity as a customer. Okay, Nike. I hope you're seeing my slides, by the way. Brands use different activities to build relationships with their customers. Nike does this very well, and they do what you would call always-on marketing. You'll hear that if you study marketing. They use different ways to get to you as a person through events, through content that you enjoy on your phone, that you will enjoy watching, as opposed to a commercial. And they use their store to engage you and your interests as well. So the idea here is to be everywhere all the time in the life of your consumer or your customer. And that's how you build a relationship. You do all sorts of marketing activities to build that relationship. Okay, Army. Not sure if you guys are Army, but some of my kids are. And practically the whole house is already Army. It's a very clear example. So Big Hit is the company behind BTS. So yeah, they're in entertainment, but they're a brand as well. And none of this is by accident. This is all marketing work. Apart from the talent that they have, right? So Big Hit has literally built an army of avid, rabid fans that truly love BTS. So it's intentional, it's strategic, and planned. There's a template to this, guys, and that's what marketing is. There's a process to how to build these things. From the music, their videos, they have a reality show. They have merch that people buy. They have tickets that people buy for their concerts. They have Instagram and Weverse accounts. All these are marketing materials that strengthen the relationship of the army to BTS. And whether it's a free or a paid transaction, you're building your relationship when you're consuming these content. And none of this is by accident. So this is all planned to get to get their consumers to consume more of them. Okay, who can do marketing? The good news is it's not that technical. No, there's no certification like in engineering that you have to pass a test and then you have a license. It's not like that. No, there's no pre-med or residency to it. You don't even need to have a management or marketing course in college, but of course that will help because you can learn it as you do it. No, I learned most of it working in the companies that I worked for. It would need consistent curiosity. You have to be genuinely interested in people's behavior, empathizing with their hopes, their dreams, and passions, as well as their pain points. What's behind what they do? How do they feel? Internally, externally. It would be useful to have skills, for sure. Things that you will learn as you go through school, college, and joining extracurricular activities, talking to your friends, even talking to strangers is training for marketing. Just living your life purposefully and intentionally is training for marketing. Personally, looking back, it helped that I was in theater or that I was in a choir, where I learned about communicating or connecting to an audience. As a discipline, it's both a science and art. No? So that's why there's a picture of a left brain, right brain there. Left brain is the what of it, the math part, the analytics part, the business part, the statistics part, experimentation, iteration. In any business, you must have a clear strategy, no? Or what we call a job to be done. What do you want people to think or do once they are exposed to your brand or marketing activities? That's the marketing person's job, answering that question. The right brain is about creativity and capturing their hearts. Most materials these days will be about telling stories. Through videos, films that you will watch while you're watching YouTube that you can't skip, or even through music. This is where skills you learn in Palig. I don't know if you still have Palig in high school. Come into play. People need a good reason for them to click on your video and to keep watching it. And I'm sure you know that for a fact. My 1.5-year-old knows how to skip an ad. People are too busy living their lives online and offline, and cutting through that clutter is more and more challenging. So people are averse to advertising. I bet all of you see right through advertising, right? People need brands to be useful, to give them information, and to be entertaining for it to be worth their time and for it to work. More and more, these marketing materials will be delivered via digital platforms. And because the landscape is continuously changing around the law, privacy, habits in general, we need to keep learning all these things. I grew up in a time of TV. I bet none of you watch TV or even have a TV in your room these days. If you do, maybe it's for playing games. For instance, these days, so AI. AI is a marketing tool that plays a key role in optimizing or making sure you don't waste your marketing money, in finding out what works best in getting more sales. Because the times, people, and media has changed, the market landscape has changed, the pandemic has changed people, and it's continuously changing, still going to change, especially when you're in college and by the time you get to work. It's important to keep learning about the world around you all the time. If you're a marketing person, both informally and formally, whether you apply for a school or just being observant and watching on your own Super Bowl ads, which I enjoy doing. Watch and observe people, movies, marketing content, commercials. Keep an open mind. Think critically about them and their intent. What are they trying to do? Lastly, so can marketing be a job that is worthy of being called a man for others? Yes, it can. So just like any job or work, just like any of the people that you saw today and in the past talks, it can be used for good, not just for the company and its bottom line. In fact, more and more today, your generation, Gen Z, are demanding more authenticity, transparency, and sustainability in businesses. What does it do for society, the environment, their employees? Gone are the days when all these are invisible to your customers and you don't care, right? They want to know what your company or brand is about, especially relevant in today's cancel culture, right? At the end of the day, the best way to do marketing and business is through service, authenticity, and integrity. If a brand can fulfill this, then it does the world good to be able to sustain its business profitably for a long period of time. So it's the same for how Athenians should live their life. So marketing and brands, just like people, work will take up a lot of your time. Sometimes even more of your time is dedicated to your work than to your loved ones. So it better be spent doing something worthwhile and something that you can do for a long time. Having said that, it's a choice that you will all have to make in any line of work. And what you do at work is not only the thing that will define your purpose as much as how you do your work. At the end of the day, you get to define in all the other aspects of your life what brings purpose. And it's up to you how to brand and market yourself to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reguno. Very inspiring. Spooky, right? From Cebu, and I guess you've heard the bell, and we're a little bit over time. But how inspiring for our last two speakers, from a ballerina to the arts and all, and now from theater, choir, Cebu, and very successful in their own fields. We have some questions now. We'll be asking our speakers some questions, and I hope they're available. From the students, from Ms. Mangluban, I have somebody here who's writing that they're hesitant to get into fine arts because of the career options after they graduate. You know, even though her heart says so now, are there a lot of work opportunities in having fine arts as a degree?
It's Malabnan, sorry.
Malabnan, sorry.
It's totally fine. Please don't be hesitant in getting a fine arts degree. Maybe sometimes maybe parents won't be able to grasp the opportunities presented after graduating, because I had that challenge also when I was in college. I told my family, I told my parents especially, that I'll be taking a Philippine arts degree. The first thing that they asked me was, ano gagawin mo pagka-graduate mo? So, syempre, ang hirap i-depensahan yun kasi sabihin nila, mag-engineering ka na lang, mag-doktor ka na lang, mag-nursing ka na lang. Pero integrated na kasi ako sa arts. What I can share is maybe have another thing besides fine arts that you would also like to pursue. No, you could think of it as a plan B. In any case, plan A won't work, because that was also, plan A was my dancing, right? And I didn't eventually, pagdating ko ng 25 pataas, hindi ko na-realize ko na pala na hindi ko na pala gusto ang pagsasayaw dahil may kakulangan pa sa kabuang or feeling commitment, no? So eventually I moved to plan B and looking into teaching, no? So it's also another area for you that you can consider. You can say na, okay, I could still use my fine arts degree to a useful angle, so that you are teaching that. No, but since I work in an art gallery, I work with so many full-time artists, I see that it works. Okay, it does need a lot of good connections, and the gallery is one. Yun yung isa sa mga magiging payo ko. Maaari mo siyang isabay sa isa pang kagustuhan ng iyong loob at diwa, para kahit papano, sang track ka man mapunta, hindi ka magsisisi, hindi ka rin masyado malulungkot na ikaw ay nagsayang ng oras at panahon. But I would like to get back to one of the speakers. She was very, it really stuck in my mind. She said, yung sa Nestle, no? Sabi niya, be mindful of where you are, what you're doing each day, because you wouldn't expect that in the next chapter of your life, babalik at iikot ulit yun. And that's totally true. I did not expect that after N years, I'll be able to reconnect with friends from grade school and even high school. So I don't know. I hope I was able to give you an enlightening vision of what you want, but please don't stop pursuing the arts if you know that's where your strong suit is.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think that moment for the earlier speaker became a point of destiny for her career.
Yeah.
So I think it also enlightens the parents here and also the students who have children who are also very much into the arts and are sort of worried because we have a lot of questions that always ask, will we be rich? And I think part of that was also answered by it's enriching dapat, not to be monetary immediately. So also as a father of a ballerina myself, I am comforted in a way. Again, also, thank you very much, Ms. Maluban. We have a question now for Spokey. Are you there, Spokey? Ms. Kuninguno, yes. The bell for you. Okay. What are the other concerns related to yours? What is the most exciting part of your career? Did you find management engineering difficult? Because, as you said, ME and what you had is an aspirational course in the Ateneo. Did you find any difficulty? Did you have time to focus on other aspects of your life, such as organizations? We know the orgs are a very special part also of the Ateneo. So were you able to give enough for all?
Okay. Yes, ME is hard. You really have to work for it. So I studied a lot. But I also knew that I need to give time for things other than your tests. So your academics is one part of your education, but the activities and what you learn in those activities, whether it's an organization or student council, or it could be outside of school, your church, your community, that's very important. Not everything you will learn in a book or in sample tests. So you have to make time for it. And you learn to do that in college. You'll have so much free time and you'll have to balance it yourself. So that's one of the things that you will adjust to. You don't have an 8 to 2 whatever schedule. You will even pick your own schedule already. So yeah. So I'd advise you guys to do more than just study in college, and get involved. So many things that you can do right now. Yeah, I think the most enjoyable part of marketing is always going to consumers and talking to them. It's getting to know their lives and finding out how you can help them. Yes, it's also finding out how you can help your company. But if these things don't align, it's not going to work. So it's always a puzzle. It has to be good for the customer, your company, and society. And once you find this alignment, that common intersection, it's magical. Yeah, I think that's why I enjoy what I do.
That's good. That's great. Thank you. You mentioned free time, because even now, I think most of the students find that they have very little free time, even at the study from home environment. And the questions that were being asked also was coming into college. So coming into college, free time is another thing, again, because of all the work that you have to do in the orgs that you have options to. Maybe you might get lost in an org or just get lost into studying. How would you balance it? Like our initial speaker earlier with her dance and her other courses coming into play, and you being in the Ateneo and then doing all of these things and all the opportunities there for you, how are you able to find exact times for them or manage it? Because that's what they'll be coming into now, from senior high going into choosing the college and then their careers after. How would you give advice to our students?
So first of all, you have to prioritize. None of that will exist if you're failing your subjects. So that has to be foundational. That's basic. It has to come first. And once you juggle that, you have to follow your interests and where your interests are taking you. Next, you have to pray. Just like everybody else said here, you go where you're called to do. It sounds cheesy, right? But it's in St. Ignatius' prayer as well. So some of it will be your will, some of it will be God's will. It's your job to find out, okay, which is which, and be brave enough to take it. No, a lot of the things that I did in college and then at work were, I guess, unplanned. But the parts that were planned were, how do you want to learn, and what kind of things do you want to learn? And you always think of yourself 5 years down the line. What are the things that I'm doing, and how will it affect what I'm going to be planning on doing 5 years from now? Doesn't have to happen, but you always have to have a plan. At least that's what I advise. If you have a plan, it's easier for you to go off plan.
If it doesn't work, you're off plan, and what do you do?
Well, you adapt. Many of the things that will happen to you will be off plan.
Yes.
This pandemic was off plan to the whole world.
Yes.
And it has changed everything. So you have to keep learning, keep an open mind, and just be flexible. You can't get stuck with, okay, I wish it were the way it was yesterday.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way. So you have to put yourself in a challenging situation from time to time. I think that's what I learned in school. As early as high school, I was parang used to, doing a lot of work.
Yes.
And it just got a lot harder when you go to college, and then when you get to work, and then when you have a family, it just gets harder. So balancing your time is the most important aspect of your life, because who you choose to spend your weekends with and your weekdays with will determine who you are at the end of the day. So it's not just work. Yeah.
Thank you. How about from our ballerina at 25, decided to change career and path? How was that at 25? And we're talking to people who are 17 and 18 now. And you found your purpose at 25?
Wow, purpose is still so huge, really. But I'm always grounded and anchored with my why is to help Filipino women. So with that in mind, everywhere that I go, may it be in business, in the art scene, in the economic scene, or maybe in the educational institution, the why will always be there. And I know I'll be able to adapt. Now, with regard to how you are able to manage things, I agree with everything that the previous speaker said. But it's not enough. What I've understood is, and what I've learned is, it's not enough for you to manage time wisely. But I always tell this to my students also when I was teaching before. It's time management together with energy management. You could have a well-organized schedule from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And yet, if you devote a lot of your energies in the morning with you already depleted in the afternoon, it's going to be very unproductive. At the end of the day, baka sobrang maramdaman mo lang yung pagod. No? So I always tell that to my friends and family and to my partner also. It's time management and energy management. And if you're able to master that, well, it's going to be a breeze. Of course, that is for you to prioritize things. I know everybody would like to do everything in one day. You know, everybody's so hyped up. Each morning, I want to do this, I want to do that. And afternoon, I want to dance pa, ganyan. Pero kapag hindi mo na prioritize yung kagustuhan mo para sa araw, baka mas lalo ka lang mapagod at ma-burn out. Yun.
Thank you. I don't think we have enough time anymore for the Q&A. Any last words from both the speakers that have been left? Anything you'd like to part with to the students, parents maybe, to keep everybody home and calm and, not wondering and worrying too much?
Siguro mauna na lang ako. Para sa youth ngayon at para sa inyong mga magulang at sa ibang tao na nanonood, I do hope na kayo ay remain please to be hopeful and driven for the country. I know we are in these trying times that there are so many uncertainties even for tomorrow and the next months to come. But if you have a strong malasakit sa kapwa, I would like to go back to that always. Kapag very strong, yes, malasakit para sa kapwa. Kapag kaya mong ituring na pamilya ang inyong mga kaibigan at sa mga nag-extend pa, I think every day would be fruitful. You would be able to fulfill being a holistic individual. That's all.
Thank you. Smokey. Sibol.
Yeah, I would say you guys are young. At this point, the whole future is before you. Just focus on living in the now. Be kind, and do your job right now, and that's finish school. And just keep an open mind. Some of these things that we've said will be in your minds and be something that you will plan on, but things will change, and then you will change your mind, or something will happen, and you'll be thrust into a different situation from what you imagined. But yeah, that's how life is. And when you get out of school, you'll find out that that's the balance that you have to do every day. So, yep. Good luck.
Thank you so much. So also, I also would like to say that from the other speaker, the prayer, God, where you lead me, there I go. So nothing is really planned, and people keep thinking about what they will be doing. If it doesn't fall through, we've heard from our speakers about the resiliency and prayer, and malasakit and purpose. Not the enrichment, not the richness, but the enrichment of life. So that's all we have time for our open forum. Thank you so much. We let go of our distinguished guests. We have Ms. Lynn Sarti to present the certificate of appreciation that we will be sending to each one of them, And Lynn, please.
Yes, thank you, Tiny. The Office of the Parent Relations and Programs and the Parents Union for School and Home wish to acknowledge, thank, and express our deep appreciation for the valuable insights shared with our Ateneo students by Colonel Ahmad U. Omar Jr., Ms. Desiree R. Mangulabnan, Mr. Raymond Ver R. Ginoo, at the mini career exploration talks entitled Creating Your Own Career Roadmap, given on this 19th day of February 2022 at the Ateneo de Manila University, Loyola Heights, Quezon City. Signed, Mr. Honorio and Attorney Jessica Ann Lacson Hizon, the Chair Couple Grade 11 Push Council, Father Alberto V. Ampil, SJ, Director, Parent Relations and Programs, Mr. Noel P. Miranda, Principal, Ateneo de Manila Senior High School. Back to you, Tiny. Thank you again, speakers.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much. Okay, tokens of appreciation. We would like to invite everybody to give them another virtual round of applause. We will be taking our photo session in a while. We will set it up for our remaining speakers. And as I would like to thank everybody again, and I would like you to know that, you've also spoken a lot to me because I have a daughter who is a ballerina and my son who was a sabulista also. And I just hope and pray that I see their futures to be aligned with you and what good you're doing to our country and to the industry. So thank you again very much. So our virtual photo session. Everybody or the speakers, please turn on your cameras. Thank you so much. Smile, I guess. Yay. There you go. All the way from Las Vegas.
1, 2, and 3. Can we have one more, please? 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you so much. Before we call it today, may we have our motherly advice from Ms. Maria Isabel Castañeda, Assistant Director of the Parents Relations Program, PREP. Okay? Please.
Thank you, Sir Tiny. I hope my audio is clear.
Here.
Okay, thank you. So good morning once again, grade 11 parents, students, and our dear guests. So as mentioned by Sir Tiny, I'm Maisa Castañeda. I wear two hats today. Well, when I drafted my closing remarks, I was wearing two hats. Okay, I speak to you as the assistant to the director of Prep Push and as a parent of a student who just graduated from the Ateneo Senior High School last year and who is now in a journey on his own pursuing his passion. But then listening to our speakers today, allow me a third hat briefly. I couldn't help but do this as a teacher from the Ateneo grade school way back in the 90s. I just want to say I'm so proud to see what kind of a man a former AGS student has grown to be. I could not help but share in our chat groups with my AGS teacher friends that I was listening to Ray Ginoo today. So we are just so proud. Now allow me to put on my assistant to the director of Prep Push hat as I take this opportunity to say thank you to the following. All our guest speakers the past 3 Saturdays, from the feedback that we received, have all been well received and very much appreciated. But especially, of course, for those with us here today, Mr. Vladimir Mata, Mrs. Maria Cristina C. Hernandez, Ms. Maria Christine Ponce Garcia, Colonel Ahmad U. Omar Jr., Ms. Desiree R. Mangulabnan, and Mr. Raymond Ver R. Ginoo. We also thank our school administrators who supported our mini CAREX. In particular, we had Mr. Melo Santos, our Assistant Principal for Academics, today for opening remarks, and Mrs. Jen Concepcion, our Assistant Principal for Formation, and Mrs. Cel Lacson, our Assistant Principal for Administration, really helped us in promoting this activity of ours to our students. We thank Mr. Paul Daza of the University Marketing and Communications Office, and our class presidents of grade 11 through the OSA or the Council of Student Officers who helped us promote this activity also to their classmates and peers. More importantly, we also say thank you to Mr. Miranda, our principal, and his secretary, Mr. Cyrus Lim, because they did not only give us moral support, but even the technical support to launch this activity. If you must know, before we start any mini CAREX, Mr. Miranda himself or Mr. Cyrus Lim himself would be on board with us to just make sure that we can use their Zoom account properly. And we also thank our grade 11 CPRs, especially the core group, for organizing this series of webinars for you, our dear students, so you can see the various worlds outside your comfort zone as a way of guiding you in your journey. I shift now to my parent hat. As our school song goes, down from the hill, down to the world go I. You, our grade 11 participants, are very lucky that as you explore all the possibilities that the world has to offer, you are guided by events such as our 3-day mini CAREX that your CPRs organize to help you prepare for the future. We have heard our speakers the past 3 Saturdays give you advice to find your passion, to work hard, etc. And today we hope that you take to heart what our speakers imparted to you. Like when Mr. Vladimir Mata talked about PPP, purpose, power, and passion, he stressed that you have to stick to your purpose. And he also emphasized that with God, everything is possible. So did Miss Maria Cristina C. Hernandez when she said, her prayer was, God, where you lead me, I will go. And Miss Christine Ponce Garcia, who said it's never a perfect journey, but all the dots are connected. So you embrace your journey. And she also mentioned that you have to try to do something bigger than yourself. Colonel Ahmad U. Omar Jr. spoke about service, integrity, and mission as a member of the military. How love for country is also a primary importance to him. Ms. Desiree Mangulabnan told us to do more, be more than yesterday, to show discipline, dedication, and passion, and most importantly, know your why. And maybe that why, hopefully, will always be because of malasakit for others. And finally, Mr. Raymond Binoo also talked about discipline, the importance of balance, especially with the very hectic schedules that he would have from grade school all the way to college, and now that he's working. And he also mentioned that you get to define what brings purpose, but always have a plan so you can be ready when you get off plan. The importance of flexibility. As a parent, and maybe as the parents with us here today would also share with me, even though we may be tempted to try to choose your paths for you, as maybe some of us experienced from our own parents way back, all we can do is to guide and to support. Nothing scares us, parents, more than seeing a bleak future for our children. But once we see that as you create your own career roadmap, that you have the drive, you have the passion for something, that you have a plan, and you try to live out your plans, and you also adjust to any misplans that you might have, I am certain no parent would dare not support his or her child. So again, on behalf of Father Bert, our director for Prep and Push, we thank you for joining us in this 3-day mini CAREX. So grade 11 students, go and create your own career roadmap. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Virtual applause again. Thank you, Mrs. Castañeda, for those heartfelt pieces of advice. Very insightful. You know, we started this seminar with a prayer. It's only fitting that we also end it with a prayer. May we call on Mr. Inigo Bautista, class president of 11 Berbuff, EBM Strand, for the closing prayer. Mr. Bautista.
Let us put ourselves in the most holy presence of God, name the Father and the Son of the Holy Spirit. Dearest Lord, we thank you for the graces you have bestowed upon us on this day. We are grateful for the profound wisdom and knowledge our beloved guest speakers have shared with us. We are grateful for the hardworking teachers, administrators, and parent officers who have made this event possible. We finally thank you for our parents' continued love and support. We graciously ask for your guidance, O Lord, as in 2 years we shall become young adults studying in different universities and in different countries. Remove all fear we currently wear and guide us throughout all these uncertainties the future will bring, as we know you and our loved ones will be with us and lead us to the right paths. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Saint Ignatius of Loyola, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you so much, Inigo. Thank you for all coming, but please do not go yet. Don't forget to answer the mini CAREX feedback posted in the email sent to you. The link is also there in the chat box. Please. The YouTube links also to the previous talks are also available in the chat box. Please check them and please submit. Okay? And Ateneans, please don't leave yet. Let's join in the singing of the Ateneo hymn, a song for Mary, in behalf of the Parents Union for School and Home, PUSH, Grade 11 Council, Father Bert Ampil, Director of the Office Parent Relations and Programs, PREP. This is Tiny de Guzman. It was such an honor being your host this morning. Thank you for the opportunity. And we have learned, and I have learned so much also from everybody and the speakers. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much. The hymn.